You want a work life that feels steady and respectful, not squeezed and frantic. You want to contribute with focus, leave with dignity, and have energy left for what you love. Today you start by drawing lines that protect your time, your attention, and your worth. You're listening to Queen Audiobooks, and as you move through this chapter, you let each sentence land like a steady breath that supports you. You do not need to become a different person to set boundaries at work. You stay kind and you stay clear. You choose simple language, short sentences, and a calm tone. You decide what you can offer, what you cannot, and how you will communicate that. When you act from clarity, resistance around you softens or reveals itself quickly, which is useful either way. Begin with your body. Clenched jaw, shallow breath, that spike of annoyance when a message pings at night. Those are data. Your body tells you where a line wants to be. You do not argue with the data. You acknowledge it and translate it into a sentence that supports your values. You define your core work hours. You choose what is deep work and what is shallow coordination. You match the right energy to the right task. You block quiet space for thinking so your best contributions actually happen. You let your calendar reflect your values so it becomes a quiet boundary that speaks for you even when you are not in the room. Here is a micro practice you can do now. Open your calendar and create one daily focus block of 45 minutes this week. Name it priority work. Treat it like a meeting with your future self. If someone asks for that slot, you offer the next open window. Another micro practice. Write one line that defines your current capacity. You say it out loud once, softly, until it feels natural. I can take 2 major priorities this week and still do them well. You carry that line into every decision until Friday. A third micro practice. Turn off email and chat for 10 minutes. Write your top 3 outcomes for today on a plain note. Keep the verbs strong and concrete. Finish one before you touch the next. Your words matter because they save time for everyone. Vague language invites confusion and rework. Specific language reduces friction. At work, clarity is kindness to you and to the team. You shorten loops and cut noise. I want to give this the focus it deserves. I can start tomorrow at 9 and deliver a draft by 3. I'm at capacity for this sprint. If it's urgent, please confirm what should move to next week. I'm not the best owner for this request. I recommend routing it to operations, and I'm happy to share context. I will be offline after 6. If something breaks, text me urgent and I'll step back in. I can attend for the first 20 minutes to unblock decisions, then I'll continue the analysis. You have the right to ask questions before you say yes. You have the right to say no without a long apology. You have the right to propose an alternative. Boundaries are not walls, they are pathways that show where collaboration works best. Here is a simple work script for chat. You type, "Hi team, I'm focused on the quarterly analysis until 11. I'll review messages at 11:30 and reply then. For anything urgent, add priority to the subject." Here is a work script for email. You write, "Thank you for the request. I can take this starting Thursday and return initial findings by Monday noon. If the deadline cannot move, please confirm which current task should be replaced to make room." Here is a work script for a face-to-face moment. You say, "I want to support this. Given the time estimate, I'd need to pause the client deck. Which outcome is more important this week?" You do not need to over-explain. A clean boundary is brief and neutral. Your tone is steady. Your face is relaxed. You stop speaking after one clear sentence and you let silence do its work. People often fill the silence with clarity you need. The nervous system notice matters. If your heart jumps when a calendar invite lands at night, that is a cue to adjust norms. You do not treat every knock as a fire. You define what is urgent before it happens. When rules are clear, pressure drops. Be kind, be clear, be consistent. Consistency is the secret that makes boundaries believable. When you follow the same rule 3 times, people start to trust it. When you break your own rule twice, they learn to test it. You choose once and then you keep choosing, not with force but with steadiness. Money clarity supports your boundaries at work. Your time has value and so does your attention. Unchecked interruptions have a real cost in missed focus, rework, and burnout. You treat your hours like a budget. You spend them where they create the most value, not where guilt shouts the loudest. A ready line to keep that clear is simple. I protect my focus like I protect company cash. Both are limited and both fund results. A money micro practice. Estimate the cost of one lost hour. You take your salary, divide by monthly work hours, and see a number. You do not obsess over it. You just remember that every random meeting draws from that account. You choose on purpose. When you communicate a boundary, you include the why that serves the shared goal, not a personal essay, just the link to outcomes. This turns a no into a yes for the mission. I'm declining this meeting so I can ship the client report by deadline. I won't join the late thread. I'll send a summary at 9 so decisions stay clean. I'm not available this weekend, and I will deliver the finalized draft by Tuesday. I can contribute 1 hour, and I'll focus that time on the scenario analysis. Now a friend boundary because work lines leak into personal time. You receive a text during your focus block asking you to review a resume right now. You reply, I want to help and I'm in the middle of a deep work block. Please send it by email and I'll leave notes before tomorrow evening. Kind, specific, time-bound. A family boundary to protect your work energy. A loved one calls midday to chat during your critical hour. You say, I'm on a deadline until 2. I'll call you on my walk at 5. If you need something urgent, text me urgent and I'll check at my break. Your care does not shrink. It becomes structured so you can be fully present when you show up. A micro practice for focus transitions. Before you open any inbox, you take one slow breath and ask, what result matters most in the next hour? You write the answer in 7 words or fewer, then you begin. This anchors your attention and trims noise. Another micro practice for meetings. When an invite arrives without an agenda, you reply with one simple question, what decision will we make in this time? If the answer is unclear, propose an async update first. You save half an hour now and 2 hours of follow-up later. Boundary pressure often comes from vague ownership. When no one owns a piece of work, it lands on the person who cares most. That might be you. You upgrade the system by naming owners. You ask, who is the decision maker for this? Who is the driver? Who is the approver? You use that language in your notes so everyone sees the map. When someone pushes past your line, you do not match their intensity. You slow down, you stand or sit a little taller, you relax your shoulders, you keep your voice grounded. You repeat one clear sentence that states your limit and your chosen next step. Repetition without heat is power. I hear the urgency. My current focus is the outage. I will return to your request at 2. I'm not available for after-hours replies. I will respond in the morning. I'm choosing not to take on additional work this cycle. If priorities change, let me know and I'll reshuffle. You teach people how to treat your time by how you treat your time. If you break your own rules, you invite confusion. If you honor them, you create a pocket of predictability that others come to respect. Predictability is trust in action. Here is a work script for when someone interrupts your desk while you are in deep work. You look up and say, I want to give this real attention. I'm in a focus block. Can you drop the details in a message and I'll review at 1. Here is a work script for when a manager asks you to stay late repeatedly. You say, I care about the team's success. Repeated late nights are not sustainable for me. Let's align on workload earlier in the week so we can meet deadlines within hours. Here is a work script for when a colleague escalates via group chat to pressure you. You reply publicly, calmly, I'm on task X until noon and will take this after. If timing is critical, please DM me the deadline and I'll propose a swap. Your boundaries include what you will do to recover after strain. You design a default reset routine so stress does not pile up. Water, a short walk, a snack with protein, a few shoulder rolls, 5 pages of a book at lunch. Small things keep you human. Micro practice for quick resets. Stand, stretch your arms wide, breathe in for 4, out for 6. Name one thing you will finish next. Sit back down and begin. Less than a minute, the day shifts. Some people will not like your lines. That does not mean your lines are wrong. It means your lines are working. If a boundary removes a hidden subsidy you were giving, tension will surface. You can meet that tension with clarity and calm. You do not control their reaction, you control your choices. You also do not punish yourself for needing a boundary. The need is not a flaw. It is a signal of where your values meet reality. You can refine the line over time. Start simple, keep it steady, and adjust based on results. Focus improves when you subtract. Subtract default notifications. Subtract vague meetings. Subtract apologizing for doing deep work. Add only what supports the result. You are not being difficult, you are being intentional. Results become your evidence. A money clarity paragraph for weekly planning. On Monday morning, you list your top 3 value drivers for the team. You allocate your hours like dollars to those drivers first. Everything else waits. You do not chase busy work that looks productive but drains your account. You measure your week by outcomes shipped, not hours burned. I spend my hours where they create the most value. I honor my off hours so I can show up strong on hours. I choose one priority per block and close the loop. I will not trade focus for friction. Your relationship with email sets the tone for your day. You remove the badge count from your phone. You stop checking first thing in the morning. You scan inbox at set times and batch replies. You keep messages short and explicit. You include the ask, the deadline, and the owner. This is not cold, it is respectful. You create a personal service level agreement for yourself. You decide your default response time for chat, for email, for requests. You share it with your team. When people know the rules, they relax. When you need to break the rule for something truly urgent, you say so. Script for sharing your service level agreement with teammates. You write, for clarity, here is how I work best. I check chat on the hour, email at 11 and 4, and I hold 9 to 11 for deep work. If you need me urgently, add priority and I'll look as soon as I surface. Thank you for helping me protect focus so I can deliver strong work. If a manager worries about less visible availability, you share artifacts. You post a daily summary with outcomes, blockers, and next steps. You invite questions there. You replace performative availability with documented progress. Progress builds trust even when people cannot see you typing. When you must say no, you do not make it personal. You make it about fit and timing. You provide a next step that moves the work forward. A clean no with a helpful pointer is more valuable than a resentful yes that fails later. I can't take this on this week, and I recommend pulling last quarter's template to get started. I'm not the right owner for legal review. Please route it to counsel and I'll provide context if needed. I can't meet today, and I've added my questions in the doc so you can proceed. A friend script to protect your after-work rest. You text, I'm resting tonight and won't be on my phone. Can we talk tomorrow after 6? Thank you for understanding. You keep your evening quiet and your sleep deeper so tomorrow's work gets your best. A family script for mornings. You say, I need the kitchen from 7 to 7:30 to set up my day. I'll be free to chat after that. When you hold even small routines, you guard your focus account. If your role includes client work, boundaries still apply. You protect service standards with structure. You confirm scope, timeline, and fees before you commit. You prevent scope creep by documenting changes and offering options. This is not rigid, it is professional. Client script for scope. You write, I can include the additional analysis. It adds 2 days and $1,000 to the scope. Let me know if you'd like to proceed or keep the original plan. You keep the tone friendly and the edges firm. Micro practice for decision clarity. Before you accept any new task, you ask 3 questions. What is the outcome? When is the real deadline? What will I stop doing to make room? You ask out loud. You wait for answers. You accept only after the trade-off is clear. If you tend to over-explain, practice the one-breath boundary. You say the line in one breath, you stop, you let the other person respond. You do not fill the space with reasons. You let your sentence stand on its own feet. You honor your future self with small protections. A glass of water on your desk. Noise canceling when you need it. A do not disturb sign during deep work. A graceful auto-reply during leave that names a backup contact. These are not indulgences. They are tools to deliver more and suffer less. Auto-reply script for leave. You write, thank you for your message. I'm away and offline through the 14th. For urgent needs, please contact Jordan. I'll return messages on the 15th. You keep it simple so the boundary holds. When you misstep and say yes beyond capacity, you repair quickly. You do not spiral. You communicate early, align on impact, and propose options. Repair is a boundary skill too. I overcommitted and want to correct quickly. I can deliver a solid draft by Friday or the full analysis by next Wednesday. Which do you prefer? A micro practice for repair. As soon as you sense a slip, you send a short note that names the risk and the plan. You buy trust with early notice, not with frantic late nights. Your energy is part of your job. You are not a machine. You are a person with rhythms. You notice when you do your best deep work and you protect those hours. You notice when meetings drain you and you batch them. You notice which tasks you dread and you break them into a 5-minute start to dissolve resistance. Micro practice for dread. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Start the first tiny piece you can do without thinking. When the timer ends, decide to continue or stop. Momentum is a friend of boundaries. It gives you something worth protecting. You close your day with a gentle shutdown. You list tomorrow's first task. You clear your desk. You send one summary line to your future self. You shut the laptop and physically step away. A clean stop makes the next start lighter. A closing line to carry. You are allowed to protect your time and still be a team player. In fact, that is how you become reliable. Your clarity becomes a lighthouse that others can navigate by. The culture may not change overnight, but your corner of it can change today. Yesterday, you learned to anchor your workday with clear language, focus blocks, and simple scripts that protect your time. You practiced brief, neutral limits and linked your no to shared outcomes so the team still moves. Today, you build on that steadiness by designing systems that keep your boundaries working even when pressure rises. You move from one-off courage to everyday structure. You make it easier to do the right thing than to slide back into old patterns. You start by mapping your week like a city grid. Deep work is the quiet side street. Meetings are the main road. Coordination is the crosswalk. You do not try to drive everywhere at once. You pick a lane on purpose. You name which pieces of work must leave your hands this week and how much fuel each needs. You put the heaviest pieces in the hours when your mind is strongest. This is not rigid, it is respectful to your brain. A micro practice for weekly design. Open your calendar and place 3 anchors for the week. 1 deep block early in the day, 1 admin block late afternoon, 1 open buffer near midweek for spillover. Give each anchor a short name so you see purpose at a glance. You protect anchors before you protect anything else. You then reduce the hidden friction that turns small tasks into time drains. You create templates for the messages you send most. You store them in a simple note you can paste in seconds. You use the same structure each time: context, decision, next step, owner, deadline. Consistency speeds trust. I'm confirming scope for the data pull. I'll deliver rows A through F by Thursday 5. Please confirm if column G is required or out of scope. I can provide a high-level review today, not a line-by-line edit. If detailed edits are needed, I can schedule that on Friday. I'm stepping into a focus block now and will reply at 1. If there is a blocker, tag it urgent and include the decision needed. You create a small rule for meetings. If there is no agenda, you request one. If the meeting still has no agenda, you propose an asynchronous update. If a meeting must happen, you scope the decision and the owner at the start, then end early if possible. You treat time like a shared budget and you guard it for everyone. Work script to reset a drifting meeting. You say, I want to make this time useful. What decision are we making in the next 20 minutes and who owns it? After you get the answer, you redirect gently but firmly to that outcome. The way you respond to requests determines how requests evolve. If every ask lands on you because you care, your care becomes a magnet. You keep the care and add structure. You ask clarifying questions that reveal the true need. You offer help that fits your role and capacity, not help that empties you. A micro practice for clarity before yes. When a request arrives, take a breath and ask 3 questions in order. What would success look like for you? What is the real latest acceptable time? What can be dropped to make space? You do not accept until these are answered. Money clarity sharpens these choices. You remember each hour has a cost and a potential return. The cost is the salary slice. The return is the value shipped. You aim your time at the highest return work by design. You can say a respectful no to low return busy work because you are protecting the shared result, not just your comfort. I protect high value work first so the team wins. Lower value tasks can wait or be simplified. You begin to manage up with steady transparency. You replace anxiety with artifacts. You send a brief weekly note to your manager that highlights outcomes, risks, and asks. You do not wait for the one-on-one to dump surprises. You give leaders the information they need to clear your path. Work script for a weekly update email. You write, quick update for the week. Outcomes shipped, A, B, C risks, dependency on legal review for X, likely delay 2 days. Asks, approval to shift Y to next sprint. I'll share the next steps Friday at 4. You keep it crisp, you make it easy to scan. You also design a repair path for when lines get tested. Not every push is malice. Often it is habit, stress, or confusion. Your repair path has 3 steps. You restate the boundary. You restate the shared goal. You propose a concrete next step. You repeat if needed without extra heat. I want to be helpful and I'm not available after 6. I will send the summary at 9 so we can decide early. I'm focused on the release plan and cannot add a new task today. If the plan shifts, please confirm the new priority order. When pressure rises, your body may push you toward people-pleasing or shut down. You retrain your body to tolerate the small discomfort of a clean no. You let that discomfort pass like a wave. You notice it, you breathe, and you stay with your sentence. You do not add apologies. You do not add promises you cannot keep. A micro practice for in-the-moment nerves. Place your tongue softly on the roof of your mouth, relax your eyebrows, and exhale longer than you inhale. Then speak one short sentence that starts with I and names your limit. Silence after is part of the sentence. Let it stand. Now, the relationships around work. Friends, family, community. Your lines at work cannot stand if the people close to you do not understand them. You teach your circle what supports you so you can keep showing up well. Friend script over text for a weekday lunch invite when your schedule is stacked. You write, I want to catch up and this week is full on my side. Can we plan for next Tuesday at noon? I'll block it now so we get real time together. You are honest, warm, and specific. You do not offer a false maybe. family script for evenings when messages pull you back into work. You say, I am off for the night so I can be present with you. If something urgent comes up, I'll check at 8 tomorrow. You hold the line and you let the evening be yours again. You also create a simple ritual for closing your day that others can see: a short message in your team channel, a checked box in the tracker, a final pass through the next day plan. Visibility reduces the pressure to ping you later just to make sure. You end clean so you can begin clean. I'm closing for today. Tomorrow morning I'll finish the analysis and post the draft by 10. I'll be offline tonight. If anything shifts, I'll adjust the plan in the morning and update the thread. Your attention is a finite resource. You stop letting notifications spend it for you. You use batch windows to respond, and you inform people of your windows. You give yourself permission to be unreachable for small stretches so you can do skilled work. This is not selfish. This is adult collaboration. Work chat script to set response windows. You type, for clarity, I check chat at the top of each hour and email at noon and 4. If time sensitive, tag urgent and include the deadline. Thank you for helping me protect focus so I can ship quality. Some boundaries are agreements with yourself. You do not need permission to pause. You do not need permission to take a 10-minute walk at lunch. You choose simple self-respect rules and you keep them because you said you would. Integrity with yourself makes external limits easier to hold. A micro practice for midday recovery. Step outside if possible. Look at a distant point for 60 seconds to reset your eyes, drink water, and ask one quiet question. What is the smallest next step that moves my priority forward? Then take that step before you reopen any inbox. You begin to write short emails, short messages, short meeting notes. Short reveals truth. Short saves time. You remove filler words and add specificity. You lead with the ask. You close with the deadline. You do not stack 5 questions in one paragraph. You send one, wait, then send the next if needed. Money clarity shows up in tools too. You consider which apps create noise and which create value. You audit subscriptions. You remove products that push you to check more than you produce. You keep what helps you block time, capture decisions, and track outcomes. You spend a little to save a lot when the tool cuts hours of friction. A money micro practice. Make a simple table with 3 columns: tool, cost per month, hours saved per month. If the hours saved times your hourly rate is greater than the cost, keep it. If not, cancel or downgrade. This turns tool choices into math, not guilt. Workloads shift, and sometimes your boundary is a negotiation across teams. When another team hands you a late request, you do not absorb the delay alone. You put the trade-offs in writing and ask for a decision. You do not let urgency on their side erase priorities on yours. Cross-team script in email. You write, thanks for the request. Our plan this week is A and B. Adding C now would move B to Monday. Please confirm which path you prefer. I'll align the team once I hear back. You keep tone neutral. You prevent silent overtime. You also set boundaries with your future self by building better checklists. A light checklist removes decision fatigue and errors. You put common tasks in order. You keep them visible. You check them with a pen or a click. You save willpower for real thinking. A micro practice for checklist building. Choose one recurring workflow that trips you. Write 5 steps you always do and 2 failure points to watch. Put it where you work. Use it the next 3 times without tweaking. After that, adjust once. Your checklist becomes a quiet teammate that never forgets. Sometimes the cleanest boundary is a process change. If approvals always stall, you propose a standing review window. If data requests scatter, you propose a single intake form with key fields. You aim to solve the pattern, not just the moment. You present changes as experiments to test for 2 weeks, then evaluate. I'd like to test an intake form for data requests for 2 weeks to reduce back and forth. If it saves us an hour a day, we keep it. If not, we drop it. You grow your courage by celebrating micro wins. The first time you decline a meeting and protect a focus block. The first time you stop typing at 6 and keep your promise to yourself. The first time you tell a friend you cannot talk now and they say they understand. These moments matter. You notice them and you let them reinforce the new pattern. Your calendar can lie if you let it. A wall-to-wall day does not mean a productive day. You learn to measure success by shipped outcomes, not by exhaustion. You stop rewarding yourself for being tired. You reward yourself for finishing the right thing. Your nervous system learns that calm can coexist with high performance. I measure my work by outcomes shipped, not hours burned. I spend my energy where it moves the needle, not where noise demands attention. I choose my best 2 priorities first, then I let the rest line up behind them. Your values guide your spending at work and at home. If generosity is a value, you can express it through mentoring one person well rather than rescuing 5 projects poorly. If learning is a value, you block a small study window weekly and protect it like a meeting. If stability is a value, you keep a simple emergency fund and you keep your commitments light until it is built. Values are boundaries with a warm face. They say yes to what matters and no to what dilutes you. Money clarity in your household supports work clarity too. When you know your baseline expenses, you feel less tempted to accept every extra ask to prove your worth. You can choose work that fits your life rather than work that fills an anxious gap. You know your enough number. Enough creates space. A money-ready line to ground you during offers or scope creep. I choose work that aligns with my values and compensates fairly for my time and skill. Feedback is another place for clean lines. You are allowed to ask for the kind of feedback that helps you grow. You are allowed to ignore feedback that is vague, personal, or outside your role. You request specifics, examples, and a shared plan for improvement when needed. You do not carry every comment like a stone in your pocket. Work script to convert vague feedback into something useful. You say, "Thank you. Could you share 2 concrete examples and the outcome you'd like to see instead? I want to act on this and examples help me target the change." When conflict appears, you slow it down. You do not argue in long chat threads. You move to a short call with an agenda and a shared document. You aim for clarity and next steps. You avoid blame language. You separate the person from the problem. Your boundary is that you will engage to solve, not to vent. A micro practice for conflict cleanup. Before you respond, write the shortest version of your goal for this exchange. Keep it within 1 sentence. If your words do not serve that goal, you delete and rewrite, then you send. With friends, you protect recovery time so your work days do not steal every bit of you. When someone pushes for a spontaneous plan that would cut your sleep, you can still be loving and firm. Friend script by chat. You type, "I want to see you and I need sleep tonight. Can we plan for Saturday morning coffee instead? I'll bring the croissants." You swap guilt for a plan. With family, you create small agreements that respect your focus. Morning routines, evening quiet, weekend windows for errands. Your boundaries make you more present when you are there. You explain the why once and then you follow your own rule. Over time, people learn they can trust your word, including the word no. Family script for weekend work pressure. You say, "I'm keeping Saturday tech-free so I can rest and be with you. If I need to prep for Monday, I'll do that Sunday from 4 to 5. Naming it makes it real. You choose a simple triage method for incoming tasks. Must do now, must do this week, delegate or drop. You do not let the third pile sit in your head. You act on it quickly by routing or declining. Your brain relaxes when it knows you will not betray it by keeping everything. A micro practice for triage. For the next hour, keep a scrap list of every new ask. At the end, circle one that truly belongs to you and schedule it. Put a line through one to delegate and write the owner next to it. Draw an X through one to drop and send the decline sentence. You just trained your brain to trust your filter. You teach your team your boundaries by modeling. You end meetings 5 minutes early. You send clear agendas. You praise focused work publicly. You say thank you when others hold their own boundaries. You treat predictability as a shared asset, not a personal preference. Culture grows from repeated small actions. If your role includes leadership, you align capacity with goals openly. You do not pretend the team can deliver 10 priorities with 5 people. You choose fewer, communicate trade-offs, and shield your team from randomization. Leadership is boundary setting at scale. Work script as a team lead in a planning meeting. You say, with current capacity, we can deliver A and B with quality. If we add C, our risk rises. Which two do we choose? I recommend A and B for impact. You put the adult decision on the table. You refine your personal SLA so it fits reality. If you miss your check-in windows, you reset rather than abandon the system. The goal is not perfection. The goal is fewer leaks, clearer decisions, steadier energy. You keep iterating until your day feels human and effective. I adjust my system to fit my life. I do not push my life to fit a system. I honor the boundaries I set because I believe in the outcomes they protect. I can be both kind and firm, both collaborative and selective. In Money Matters, you treat future obligations with curiosity instead of fear. If an extra expense appears, you pause and consider, is this a need, a nice to have, or a no for now? You do not shame yourself for the choice. You align with values and capacity. You let simplicity win. Your finances grow calmer, and so does your work. You close this session by choosing one small line you will hold for the next 2 days. 1. You write it down where you see it. You tell at least one person who benefits from it. You follow it even when your nerves flicker. You let the small win be enough to change the week. That is how real change begins. Yesterday, you moved from one-off courage to everyday structure by designing a weekly grid, using clear templates, and managing up with simple artifacts. You practiced short limits, cleaner meetings, and money clarity that protects high-value work. Today, you deepen your boundary skill in live conversations where pressure shows up fastest. You learn how to hold your line without heat, how to redirect scattered requests into clear next steps, and how to recover quickly when you slip. You practice until a steady tone becomes your default. Your words stay short. Your presence does most of the work. Start with your center. When tension rises, your nervous system wants to fix, please, or fight. You give your body a job so your mind can choose. Place both feet flat, let your shoulders drop, touch thumb to forefinger for one slow breath. Your jaw loosens. The room slows, you speak from the ground instead of the swirl. A micro practice you can do now. Look at one message that pulls you into an instant yes. Read it once, put your hands flat on your desk, inhale for 4, exhale for 6, and ask out loud, what is the real ask? Only then do you write a reply. Many conflicts at work are actually collisions of hidden assumptions. You bring assumptions into daylight with clean questions. You do not interrogate, you clarify, what outcome are we protecting? What does done look like? What is the latest acceptable time? What gets dropped if this moves up? The questions are not defensive, they are adult. I'm glad to align. What outcome matters most here and what can move to make space? Some people push when you set a line. Assume good intent first, then hold firm. You do not match volume with volume, you match volume with clarity. If someone argues in a long thread, you step out with grace. I'm moving this to a quick call with an agenda so we can decide. I'll send a note with options in 10 minutes. Now the art of a redirect. A colleague asks for a quick look that is not quick. You do not accept their timeline as law. You restate capacity and offer a path that keeps the work moving. Work script in chat. You type, I can review at 2 and return high-level notes by 3. If you need a full edit, the earliest I can do that is tomorrow afternoon. Which do you prefer? The tone stays neutral. The boundary stays real. Not all requests are yours, even if you could do them well. You protect your lane without closing the door. You point to the right owner and tell them how to engage you if helpful. I'm not the owner for vendor contracts. Legal is best for this. If they need data context, I'm happy to add a note. Meetings deserve boundaries that breathe. When a meeting becomes a report, you move it to an update. When a meeting becomes a debate, you name the decision and time box it. When a meeting becomes a therapy session, you offer one sentence of empathy and redirect to the agenda. You protect the group from drift. A micro practice to reset any room. Sit a little taller, soften your voice, and say one sentence that begins with we and ends with a decision. We have 10 minutes left and we need a clear owner for action A, then wait. Silence is a tool. Email can either chew your day or carry your work. You make it carry. Subject lines that name the ask. First sentence that names the decision. One short paragraph of context. One line with deadline and owner. You remove filler. You remove flattery you do not mean. You keep kindness in clarity and deadlines. I'm confirming that I will deliver the revised analysis by Friday noon. If you prefer a draft Thursday evening for early review, tell me and I'll adjust. Money clarity lives inside your calendar and your choices. When a last-minute request arrives with scope creep, you remember your hours are a limited budget. You respond as a steward of value, not a hero chasing praise. You propose options that protect quality and energy. I can add the extra scenario. It adds one day to the timeline or removes the dashboard polish. Which trade-off serves the goal best? A quick money micro practice. Write your hourly rate on a small card based on your salary divided by monthly work hours. Keep it near your keyboard. When a low-return task lands, glance at the number and decide with your values. You are not cold, you are responsible. Some of your hardest boundary moments are with yourself. You say you will stop at 6, then you slip at 6:15, 6:30, 6:50. You do not shame yourself. You use a shutdown ritual that is visible and simple. One line to your future self, one tidy desk, one closed laptop, one step away from the chair. If you return, you do it on purpose, not by drift. I'm closing now. Tomorrow I start with the open questions list and finish the model by 11. When you need to escalate, escalate with respect. Put facts first, impact second, ask third. Do not inject blame, do not decorate with adjectives. Calm escalation keeps trust intact. Work script for escalation by email. You write, flagging a risk. Vendor data for Project X will arrive 2 days late per their note below. Impact is a 1-day shift to the launch timeline unless we simplify scope Y, requesting approval to defer Y or to move the public date to Tuesday. You attach the vendor note. You keep the tone even. You cannot control how others react to your boundary. You can control whether your boundary is precise. Short sentences, present tense, clear next step, tone like a friendly train conductor who keeps the schedule. Friendly is welcome. The schedule is not optional. I won't be available this weekend. I will deliver the final draft by Tuesday morning. With friends, you hold the line around your work recovery even when invitations are sweet. The goal is lasting friendship, not short bursts of yes that lead to burnout and resentment. Friend script by text when a midweek late dinner appears. You type, I want to see you and I need sleep tonight. Can we plan for Saturday lunch instead? My treat. Your friend gets a real plan, not a vague maybe. Family needs clarity too. People you love deserve to know when you are truly present. You tell them when you are not, and you tell them when you will be again. You keep your promise, trust grows. Family script for mornings. You say, I need 7 to 8 for quiet work. I'll be free for breakfast chat at 8:15. Thank you for helping me start calm. A micro practice to train your voice. Stand where no one hears you. Pick one boundary sentence and say it aloud 5 times with a slower pace each time. Do not add extra words. Let the sentence carry its own weight. You are not rehearsing perfection, you are rehearsing ease. Some teams equate boundaries with lack of commitment. You rewrite that story by pairing boundaries with visible outcomes. You post progress, you hit deadlines, you show your work. You prove that focus is a gift to the team. People will still test the line, that is normal, you hold and keep shipping. I show care through clarity and results. In cross-functional projects, shared boundaries prevent chaos. Agree on response windows, meeting norms, and change control before work starts. Write it down. Keep it in the top of the project doc. Refer to it without drama when someone wanders. Process is not bureaucracy when it removes friction. Work script to set project norms in the kickoff. You say, to keep flow, let's agree to 24-hour response on blockers, agendas for all meetings, and scope changes documented in the thread with owner and impact. If we hold these three, we will go faster and suffer less. Sometimes the healthiest line is about what you will not measure. You stop counting hours to prove worth. You count outcomes, learning, and energy. You stop comparing your pace to someone with a different life. You stop chasing a moving target of approval and you serve the work instead. You feel calmer because your metrics are honest. When conflict sharpens, you choose dignity. You do not defend yourself in a flurry of messages. You request a short call. You ask for specific examples. You reflect what you heard. You state what you will change and what you will not. You agree on a follow-up check. Then you do your work. I want to hear this clearly. Could you share 2 examples and the specific impact? I'll outline my plan by tomorrow morning. Your attention is a precious asset. You choose one input window each morning before opening any inbox. Read a page of a book, listen to a calm track, write 3 lines in a notebook. You fill your mind on purpose so the day does not hijack you. Small on purpose beats big by accident. Micro practice to protect your first hour. Put your phone in another room for the first 20 minutes of work. Put a glass of water on your desk. Open only the file that holds your priority. Touch your trackpad only after you write 1 sentence about the outcome you want by the top of the hour. Money clarity shows up in compensation conversations too. You prepare, you choose neutral language, and you tie your ask to outcomes and market data. You do not apologize for wanting fair pay. You do not inflate. You present, pause, and let the numbers breathe. I'd like to review compensation. Over the last year, I shipped A and B with measurable impact. C market data for this role in our region ranges from X to Y. I'm requesting an adjustment to Z to reflect scope and results. If the answer is not now, you ask for the path to yes. You request specific targets and a date to review. You write the agreement and send it back in a short email. You protect your future by making the plan visible. Work script to confirm the path. You write, thank you for the conversation today. I'm aligned on the 3 targets we discussed and the review date on March 15th. I'll share progress monthly. Please confirm this summary. You keep the door open and the details clear. Focus is easier when you make fewer promises. You say no to clever distractions dressed as opportunities. You choose 1 or 2 major bets and put your name on them. You allow your identity to be built on what you finish, not on how many rooms you enter. Your brain relaxes, your calendar breathes. I am choosing to do less better on purpose. When your boundary is ignored more than once, you escalate with peace. You document 3 instances with dates and short facts. You request a meeting with your manager. You present the pattern and the impact on outcomes. You propose a fix. You do not insult. You do not nurse a grudge. You ask for support so work can proceed. A micro practice for documentation. Create a simple note titled Boundaries Log. Each time a line is crossed, jot date, actor, short description, and impact in 1 sentence. Keep it factual. This protects your memory and clarifies your ask later. With friends, money boundaries also matter. You do not stretch beyond your budget to match someone else's pace. You propose affordable options with warmth and confidence. You keep generosity in your tone and clarity in your choice. I'm saving this month and would love a walk and coffee instead of dinner. I'll bring the pastries. With family, you hold a weekend window for rest or errands. You do not default to being available at all hours. You share the plan and invite input once, then you keep it. This protects your weekday focus and your home energy. Family script for weekend boundaries. You say, I'm keeping Saturday morning for rest and grocery run. I'll be free after noon for family time. If plans change, let's decide Friday night so the morning stays calm. Your reputation becomes your strongest boundary. If people learn that you answer quickly but not instantly, that you deliver on time without drama, that you are kind and firm, they will adjust to you. You do not need to campaign. You just work your system and let results speak. I keep my word, including the word no. A final micro practice to close today. Write one boundary sentence you will hold in your next live conversation. Keep it fewer than 15 words. Practice twice. Put it on a small card near your keyboard. When the moment comes, read it once, breathe, and say it clean. You do not need a perfect script, you need a steady one. Yesterday, you practiced holding your line in live conversations, redirecting scattered requests into clear next steps, and escalating with calm facts. You paired boundaries with visible outcomes so people saw your steadiness and your results. Today, you turn your lines into shared agreements and lightweight systems that keep everyone moving. You make boundaries easier to honor because they are visible, repeatable, and tied to outcomes. You replace guesswork with simple rhythms that reduce stress for you and the people who work with you. Begin with a small human truth. Most people do not want to waste your time, they just do not know your rules. When you state your rules once and reinforce them with small artifacts, you give others a map. People relax when they know the path. Your map is short. Your map is public. Your map lives where work lives so no one digs to find it. You create a working with me note and place it in your chat profile, your email signature, or the top of your project docs. You keep it warm and brief. You include how to reach you when you respond and what information helps you decide quickly. You add one line about your deep work windows so they stop being a mystery. I do deep work 9 to 11 most mornings. I check chat on the hour and email at noon and 4. If urgent, include the decision and deadline in the first line. A micro practice to make that note real. Open your main project document and add a short section titled How to Work with Me. Write 3 lines, response windows, meeting rules, and what to include in requests. Ask 2 teammates for feedback. Publish it today. Adjust next week if needed. Meetings are the biggest tax on attention. Your boundary is not only fewer meetings, it is better meetings. You cut default lengths in half. You begin with the decision to make. You name the owner at the top. You end with a time-stamped summary that lives in the doc. You leave before the last minute if the decision is done. This is not rude. This is respectful to everyone's budget. When you are invited without a clear purpose, you reply with one sentence that sets a gentle gate. You do not wait for someone else to design your day. I want to contribute well. Could you share the decision we will make in this time and my role? If it is a status share, I can post and update a sync. Now you set boundaries across time zones or different schedules. You create 2 shared windows for live collaboration each week and move everything else to documented updates. You do not sacrifice sleep or health to chase inbox pings at midnight. You label what is urgent with a simple rule, and you use that rule sparingly so it stays meaningful. A micro practice for urgency discipline. Write a 1-line definition of urgent that fits your team. For example, urgent means the customer cannot use the product or a committed public date is at risk today. Share the line, pin it, and commit to using urgent only when it meets the rule. You just gave urgency weight again. You design your handoffs like a relay race. The baton is not a feeling. The baton is a checklist and a status line. You include owner, current state, next step, and the first question to answer. Handoffs become clean exits that protect your evening and speed the next person's morning. I'm handing off with the model at version 2, open questions listed in the doc, and next step to validate scenario B if anything blocks you. Tag me for a 5-minute sync tomorrow at 9. Documentation sounds heavy until you keep it light. 1 page per project. First section is the goal in 1 sentence. Second is the current plan. Third is decisions and dates. Fourth is risks and owners. You update it at the end of each day with 2 lines. You are not writing a novel. You are saving your future self an hour, and you are teaching your team how to help you. Money clarity runs through these systems. Every unnecessary meeting is a budget leak. Every undefined request is a tax. You treat your time like company cash and like your own well-being. You spend it where impact lives. You measure effort by outcomes, and you speak in numbers when it helps decisions land. I'm proposing we move this from a 1-hour weekly meeting to a 10-minute async update. That saves about 3 hours per week across the team while preserving visibility. A money micro-practice to make this concrete. Choose 1 recurring meeting this week and calculate the cost. Participants times hourly rate times length. Share the number with the group and propose a lighter format to test for 2 weeks. Note the savings and the impact in the project doc. You also create boundaries for shallow work so it stops devouring your best hours. You batch admin tasks at the same time each day. You group similar tasks together. You use templates with variables so your fingers do not retype the same structure. The point is not speed alone. The point is to free your attention for thinking that moves the needle. Your inbox becomes a place you visit, not a place you live. You set up 2 rules that turn low-value alerts into a folder you scan later. You unsubscribe from status emails you never read. You tell people in your signature when you check messages and how to escalate. You keep your promise to those windows so the habit sticks. A micro-practice to calm inbox. For 2 days, process email and chat only at the windows you chose. Outside those windows, close the apps fully. When your mind reaches for them, return to your work file and read the last sentence you wrote. You are training a muscle, not chasing perfection. Now the boundary between you and a manager who prefers instant replies. You do not need to mimic unhealthy pace to be a strong teammate. You give them confidence through proactive visibility, short daily update at a predictable time. Risks stated early, clear asks. You ask how they want to receive updates, then you meet that need once. After that, you let your system work. Work script to shape expectations with a manager. You say, to protect deep work and ship on time, I'm holding 9 to 11 for focus and posting a brief update by 4 each day. If you ever need me inside a block, tag urgent and I will surface. I'll also flag risks as soon as I see them. Friends are part of the system too, because your work only steadies when your life supports it. You set a quiet rhythm for weekday evenings that feeds you. You tell your friends the rhythm so they do not wonder. You invite them into your weekend windows with affection and clarity. Friend script over chat. You type, weeknights I keep calm and sleep early. I'd love to see you Saturday morning for a walk. 9 works for me. Your friend gets warmth and a plan. You get rest that pays your next day's focus bill. Family benefits when the home has clear cues. You name your focus window with a visual signal. Headphones on means no interruptions except real emergencies. Headphones off means you are available. You hold the rule gently but firmly. You thank people when they honor it so the behavior sticks faster than any lecture. Family script at the breakfast table. You say, from 7:30 to 8 I'll be in focus. Headphones mean I am not available. At 8 we do lunches and leave together. When you keep this line, mornings feel possible again. Make room for your future self with smart defaults. A default meeting length of 25 minutes. A default reply time that is predictable. A default template for new projects so you do not reinvent structure every time. Defaults are boundaries that act for you when you forget. Defaults tame decision fatigue so your first effort goes toward craft, not admin. I keep default meetings to 25 minutes and end early when we can. The way you decline shapes the way people feel about asking you next time. You want people to keep asking with better timing and more clarity. Decline with a next step that moves the work forward. Give people a door, not a wall. I can't take this on this week. I recommend using last quarter's brief as a template and tagging me for a 30-minute review next Tuesday. I'll focus that time on the risk areas. You give yourself a small rule for yes. A yes requires a written why, a deadline, and a first step. If you cannot name those three in 1 minute, you do not say yes yet. This single rule prevents most accidental overcommitments. A micro practice to train your yes. Before you accept any new work today, write the why, the deadline, and the first step in one line. If you cannot, ask for clarity. If you can, put the first step on your calendar and accept with confidence. Cross-team collaborations often fail at the handoff points. You fix handoffs with a shared table that names owners and dates. You keep it short and visible. You link it in the top of the thread and you update it when things change. Your boundary is that you will not agree to vague waits. You ask for names and times. I can start as soon as legal confirms clause 12. Owner is Maya, due Thursday noon per our shared table. I'll continue once her note lands. When parallel projects collide, you do not absorb the mess. You show the trade-offs in writing and ask for a decision. You let the decision maker decide. You stop trying to be the silent shock absorber who makes everyone comfortable at your own expense. Adult work is clearer than that. I can complete either the dashboard or the migration this week with quality, not both. Which one should I prioritize? I'll align the plan immediately. Budget clarity at home reduces work panic. When you know your true monthly number, you are less tempted to say yes to random overtime or poor-fit roles. You choose projects and companies that match both your values and your needs. Your work boundary grows stronger when your life has a financial floor. A money micro practice you can finish tonight. Jot your baseline monthly expenses, round up a little, and divide by 4. That is your weekly enough number. Put it on a small card. When fear tries to sell you overwork, look at the number and decide on purpose. You are not powerless. You are choosing. Your words continue to teach. You use steady phrases that do not inflame. You state what you will do and what you will not do. You tie your choice to the purpose you all share. You keep the door open to revisit when capacity changes. I'm staying within scope so we can launch on time. If priorities shift, I'll reshuffle and confirm the new plan. Not every pushback deserves a debate. You learn to let harmless friction slide. You save your voice for the boundary that matters. You pick your battles based on impact, not ego. You still document patterns so you can present them calmly if they threaten outcomes. A micro practice for pattern spotting. For 1 week, track every time your focus block gets interrupted. Note the source and the reason in a tiny spreadsheet. On Friday, pick one fix to test next week. You improve the system with data, not drama. The way you use tools reflects your boundaries. You keep notifications off for apps that do not support your top 2 outcomes. You use Do Not Disturb during blocks and let trusted people bypass with a specific tag. You remove apps that prey on your attention under the label of collaboration. You choose fewer tools and learn them deeply. Your calendar becomes an honest mirror, not a costume. You fill it with what you will truly do, including recovery. You schedule lunch, a walk, a water break, and 10 minutes to tidy your desk at day's end. You stop leaving your human needs to chance. When you protect small needs, you prevent large collapses. I fuel my best work by honoring my basic needs: water, movement, light, and an on-purpose stop. When a colleague insists that everything is urgent, you reset the scale with kindness and proof. You show the current plan, the capacity limit, and the trade-offs. You ask them to choose instead of leaving you to guess. You invite them into adulthood with you. Most people will rise when invited. Work script to de-escalate urgency spirals. You say, I hear the pressure. Here is the current plan with owners and dates. If we move this up, B will shift to next week. Which path keeps us on mission? I'll run with your choice and post the update. With friends, you protect your money boundaries as directly as your time. You say what you can afford without apology, and you offer an alternative that preserves connection. You do not participate in spending to avoid awkwardness. Clarity beats resentment every time. I'm keeping a simple budget this month. Walk and coffee at the park makes me happy. Are you free Sunday at 10? With family, you teach people the difference between availability and love. You cannot answer every call and still deliver your work. You can love deeply and still hold office hours at home. You explain once and then you show with your actions. Care grows stronger when it has edges. Family script for midday calls. You say, I'm in work mode until 1. I'll call you at 1:15 on my walk. If it is urgent, text urgent and I will step out for 2 minutes. You keep the promise and you call at 1:15. Recovery is part of the job description. You design a light end-of-day ritual that makes your next morning easy. You gather your open questions, list tomorrow's first task, and physically close your computer. You signal to your brain that the workday is complete. You protect your evening so your next day has power. A micro practice to strengthen your stop. Set a soft alarm 15 minutes before your planned end time. When it rings, finish your current sentence, write your first task for tomorrow, and shut down. If you must work later, reset the end time once, not by drift, and set the alarm again. Your identity shifts as you hold these lines. You stop being the person who is always available and start being the person who is always dependable. You stop proving your worth in volume and prove it in clarity, focus, and finished work. You become easier to work with because you are predictable. People learn they can count on your yes and believe your no. I keep my promises to myself so I can keep my promises to others. You will still have messy days. Systems help, not magic. When you slip, you repair quickly and re-enter your rhythm. You do not throw out the system because you missed a window. You return to the basics. One block of deep work, one honest update, one clean boundary stated aloud. Small recalibrations rebuild momentum faster than grand restarts. You close today by choosing one shared agreement to create this week. Maybe it is a short kickoff norm. Maybe it is a handoff template. Maybe it is your working with me note. Make it visible and test it for 2 weeks. Treat it like an experiment. Keep what reduces friction. Drop what does not. Your work gets calmer and your results grow stronger when boundaries become agreements everyone can see. Yesterday, you turned boundaries into shared agreements and light systems. You created a working with me note, tightened meetings, and shaped handoffs so work flows without draining you. Today, you take those systems inward and upward. You refine your decision-making, hold your center under pressure, and negotiate priorities with calm authority so your boundaries scale with your career. You begin by naming what only you can do. Every role has a handful of moves that create outsized impact. When your week fills with tasks anyone could handle, you dilute your value. You pull your time back toward work that needs your judgment, your taste, your craft. You make this a weekly ritual so drift cannot steal your edge. A micro practice to find your signature work. Write 3 lines. The outcome only you can deliver this quarter, the relationships only you can nurture, the risks only you can see early. Place those lines at the top of your weekly plan. When a request arrives, you glance at the lines and decide with less noise. Your nerves still spike when someone presses hard. The press might be urgency, authority, or charm. You steady yourself by slowing the moment. You do not argue in fast motion. You move the conversation to clear ground where facts and trade-offs live. The person across from you may relax when the frame shifts or they may escalate. Either way, you keep the frame. I want to keep us aligned. Here are the options, the timelines, and the risks. Which path do you prefer? You treat priority conflicts as design problems, not personal tests. When 3 projects want the same hours, you expose the math. You show scope, deadlines, dependencies, and impact. You ask a decision maker to choose. Your tone stays respectful and firm. You leave with a single plan that your calendar can hold. Work script for a live triage with leaders. You say, with current capacity, I can deliver 2 of the 3 with quality this week. Here is the impact order I recommend: client retention work, compliance fix, then internal tools. If you choose a different order, I will align immediately and share the updated plan this afternoon. Your identity shifts from helpful to responsible. Responsible means you do not accept a task without a real deadline, a clear owner, and a defined done. Responsible means you tell the truth early when risk appears. Responsible means you do not trade long-term trust for short-term relief. You let your actions teach this standard. A micro practice for responsible yes. Before you say yes, write a 1-sentence contract: the outcome, the date, the owner, the first step. Send it back with your yes. If any part is fuzzy, you ask one question until it is not. Focus deepens when you trim cognitive load. You reduce open loops not by heroic willpower but by elegant defaults. You keep a single list for work, not 5. You keep a single parking lot for good ideas, not scattered sticky notes. You set 1 review time each day, not random checks that break your flow. Your system becomes boring in the best way. You also protect your creative power. Creative thinking needs gaps. You give your brain unallocated space by stepping away from screens, touching real paper, or taking a silent walk. You stop judging yourself for resting. Rest is not a luxury, it is maintenance for complex work. I protect quiet because quiet funds original thought. Money clarity meets career clarity in your conversations about scope and compensation. You prepare short, clean numbers and you attach them to outcomes. You respect budgets while you advocate for fair trade. You do not posture, you do not shrink. You present, pause, and negotiate like an adult who understands value. I'm happy to expand scope to include the workshop. That adds 2 days and $1,800. If we keep the original budget, we can replace the workshop with a written guide. Which option fits best? You will face people who prefer chaos because chaos hides weak process and unclear promises. You do not join the swirl, you bring daylight. You document decisions in public channels. You summarize actions with owners and dates. You escalate calmly when patterns repeat. You do not rescue others from the natural consequences of their own vagueness. A micro practice for daylight. After any meeting that felt slippery, post 3 lines: decision, owner, date, pin it or place it at the top of the doc. Invite corrections. Silence becomes consent. Your reputation is now a boundary tool. People begin to expect your clarity and your follow-through. You can leverage that by pre-committing to your own standards out loud. You say how you work and then you work that way. Consistency lowers conflict because your colleagues can predict you. I check chat at the top of the hour, hold 9 to 11 for deep work, and share a daily status by 4. If you need me inside a block, tag urgent and include the decision and deadline. Some boundaries live in your calendar, others live in your mouth. The mouth ones matter when power dynamics complicate things. A senior leader drops a last-minute request that collides with your commitments. You respect the role and protect the plan. You offer options, not resistance. Work script for a senior leader's late ask. You say, I can start this today by moving the client analysis to Monday. That shift risks the Tuesday presentation. If we keep the analysis on track, I can begin your request Wednesday and deliver a solid draft by Friday. Which trade-off works? Your relationships outside work make your lines believable. Friends learn your weekday rhythm and help you protect it. You help them protect theirs. You stop apologizing for needing sleep. You plan joy like you plan projects so joy actually happens. Friend script over chat for a spontaneous weekday plan. You type, I am in an early start week and turning in after 9. Can we lock Sunday brunch at 11 instead? I'll book the table. You carry warmth and certainty in the same sentence. Family loves you and sometimes pulls you away from your plan. You support the people you love without erasing yourself. You use short, time-bound phrases that create structure everyone can trust. You give specific windows when you are available and keep them. Family script for evening focus. You say, I'm finishing the deck from 7 to 8. After 8, I'm all yours. If something urgent pops up, knock and say urgent. You keep your promise at 8 so the boundary holds next time. Pressure peaks near deadlines. In those hours, the most generous gift you can give your team is a calm cadence. You post micro updates that reduce guesswork. You move blockers fast. You take the emotional sharpness out of your sentences and keep everyone aligned with facts. I'm merging the draft in 10 minutes. QA begins at 2. Open risks are listed at the top of the doc with owners. Decision quality rises when you treat trade-offs as choices, not tragedies. You write the trade-off in a single sentence. You choose based on values and impact, not on who is loudest. You record the choice so you do not revisit it 5 times. You accept regret as normal, not as proof you chose wrong. A micro practice for trade-offs. When you feel torn, write 2 options on a page. Under each, write 1 sentence, what you gain, what you lose. Circle the one that serves your core outcome this week. Commit in writing, proceed. You honor craft. Craft means you do not accept impossible timelines for work that needs thinking, testing, or polish. You say what is possible and what quality looks like at each level of effort. You are not fussy, you are precise about standards. I can deliver a quick pass today that catches major issues. A high-quality review needs until Thursday. Which level do you want? Money clarity shows up in your personal budget too. You choose value-based spending so anxiety does not drive your work choices. You cover your essentials and 1 or 2 joys, you automate savings if possible, and you make peace with letting the rest wait. You feel steadier at work when your home money rhythm is simple and honest. A money micro practice for steadiness. Open a fresh note and write 3 numbers, your monthly essentials, your minimum savings, and your fun allotment. Translate them into weekly targets. Put the weekly numbers on a small card in your wallet or notes. When a decision appears, check the card and choose without drama. You respect your energy like a budget. You track which tasks drain you 5 times faster than they should. You do not avoid them forever, you contain them. You batch them, you time box them, or you delegate them when possible. You keep your prime brain hours for analysis, writing, designing, selling, leading, whatever your craft demands. A micro practice to capture energy leaks. For 3 days, tag each task with a quick symbol after you finish. Plus for energy, minus for drain, 0 for neutral. On day 4, move 1 minus task to a low energy block and 1 plus task to a prime hour. Repeat next week. Office politics exist. You cannot ignore them and still protect your work. Your approach is simple: be useful, be visible, be fair. You do not gossip, you do not hoard information, and you do not perform outrage. You give credit by default and you document your part without hunger. Trust grows because you act like a stable adult. When someone takes credit for your work, you correct the record without heat. You reference artifacts. You focus on truth, not punishment. Work script to reclaim credit. You say, to keep the history clear for future work, the model and initial analysis came from my team last week. I appreciate Alex's additions on visualization. I'll add both contributions to the doc so we have a complete record. You also prepare for performance reviews throughout the year, not the week before. You keep a small brag file, outcomes, metrics, thanks, tough problems solved. You write one sentence after each notable week. When review season arrives, you draw from truth, not memory haze. Your boundaries feel easier when your evidence is ready. I maintain a simple outcomes log so my review reflects real impact. Interruptions still happen. You install quick responses that buy you time without inviting chaos. You do not treat every ping as a fire. You respond with a short, predictable line that sets an expectation and protects your current block. I see this, I'm in a focus window. I'll respond at one with next steps. When people escalate in public channels to pressure you, you do not mirror the move. You answer once, clearly, and route the decision to the right place. Public calm protects culture. Work script in a crowded thread. You type, I'm finishing the client fix until 2. I can take this at 2:15. If the timeline cannot wait, please confirm with Sam which deliverable moves. I'll follow whatever decision is made and post an update in this thread. Your development is a boundary as well. You block study time for one skill that upgrades your value. You keep it small and weekly. You invest because you respect your future self. You let the compounding work in your favor over months, not days. A micro practice for skill blocks. Choose one skill that would save you hours or raise your ceiling. Block 30 minutes every Wednesday at 2. Keep a single resource open, no hunting. Track tiny milestones, one tutorial finished, one technique applied, one result improved. With friends, you create money and time rituals that match your season. A shared potluck instead of restaurant rounds. A walking club instead of late nights. You set the tone by inviting with confidence instead of apologizing for simplicity. Many friends will feel relieved. I'm keeping it simple this month. Come over Saturday at 5 for soup and a movie. I'll make the soup, bring your favorite bread if you'd like. With family, you navigate care without vanishing inside it. You name your limits early and offer real help inside those limits. You coordinate with siblings or partners so care is shared. You refuse to let unspoken expectations become emergencies. Family script for recurring care. You say, I can take mom's appointments on Tuesdays after 3. I cannot do weekends this month. Let's put a shared calendar in place so we cover her without last-minute scrambles. You practice graceful exit lines so you can leave when your time is done. An exit line is a boundary that honors the relationship. You do not sneak out, you leave clean. I'm closing for the night so I can show up strong tomorrow. I'll pick this up at 9 and post the next steps by 10. Your mental narration matters. You stop telling yourself that saying no makes you difficult. You start telling yourself that saying no at the right time makes you dependable. You replace guilt with responsibility. You replace people-pleasing with service to the work and to your health. I serve best when I choose with care. When you slip, you repair quickly and specifically. You do not carry the weight longer than needed. You apologize for the impact, not your existence. You offer a plan and you keep it. Repair strengthens boundaries because it proves your word still means something even after a miss. I missed the handoff yesterday and that created friction. I'm sorry for the impact. I have documented the steps and set a daily alarm for the next week to prevent repeat. Today's handoff will be at 4 with notes in the doc. Your days grow steadier when you end with a simple closeout. You finish one small thing, you write tomorrow's first move, and you step away. You allow the evening to refill the well. You allow sleep to do its quiet work. You wake with a plan, not a fog. A micro practice to protect tomorrow morning. Write one index card each night with 3 lines. First task, one quick win, one person to thank. Place it on your keyboard. In the morning, you do those 3 before any inbox. You start from intention, not reaction. You close today by choosing one negotiation you will handle with calm facts this week. You will write the options, the timelines, the risks, and your recommendation in 5 sentences or fewer. You will present it once, pause, and let silence work for you. You will accept the decision and execute with focus. This is how your boundaries mature into leadership. Yesterday, you named the work only you can do, negotiated trade-offs with calm authority, and practiced repair without drama. You used facts and options to steady tough moments, and you protected quiet so your craft could breathe. Today, you build durable resilience so your boundaries hold during change, not only on calm days. You design rituals that ground you, money choices that reduce pressure, and scripts for messy realities like reorgs, remote tension, and conflicting values. You keep your voice steady and your choices simple. You start by defining your non-negotiables. These are the few lines you keep under stress. You choose hours you will not violate except for true emergencies, you choose one health ritual that stays, and you choose the quality bar you refuse to drop. When the week tilts, you lean on these lines like handrails. You may flex everything else, but the handrails stay. A micro practice to set handrails. Write 3 short lines on a card, off by a set time on most nights, 1 movement window daily, minimum quality for a deliverable. Place the card near your keyboard. When a spike hits, read the card before you respond. Change at work often arrives as surprise. A new leader, a shifting roadmap, a budget cut. Your first boundary is to pause for data before action. You ask what is true, what is assumption, and what is fear. You separate the 3. Then you choose one concrete next step you control. Panic spends energy without progress. Clarity spends energy where it returns value. I'm taking 24 hours to gather facts and confirm the new priorities. I'll share an adapted plan tomorrow afternoon. In remote or hybrid work, proximity bias and visibility games can test your lines. You resist performative availability. You replace it with reliable artifacts. Short daily updates, visible boards, recorded briefings when live meetings are not possible. You keep doors open while keeping your focus. If someone mistakes quiet for absent, you show outcomes and keep your cadence. Work script for resetting visibility pressure. You write, to support clarity, I'll post a noon dashboard update and a 4 p.m. summary of outcomes and risks. I will continue to hold 9 to 11 for deep work. If a live sync is needed, I'm open to a brief slot at 1. You name the rhythm and you keep it. Negotiating scope during a reorg requires tenderness and spine. People feel shaky. You honor that feeling and still protect capacity. You ground each conversation in what the team owes to customers and to quality. You suggest the smallest viable plan and a review date. You do not let vague hope erase real limits. I suggest we ship a minimal version of the dashboard by Thursday and plan a review on Monday to decide phase 2. This protects stability while we adapt. Money clarity helps you stand firm because fear loses leverage when numbers are honest. You write your enough number again in this new context, and you decide where to tighten and where to maintain. You do not punish yourself with austerity for the sake of control. You choose value-based spending and calm cuts that reduce stress without stealing joy. A money micro practice for stability during change. List 3 expenses you can pause for a month without harming your health or work. List 1 small joy you keep on purpose. Decide today. Review in 4 weeks. You are building a bridge, not a bunker. Sometimes the boundary you need is about ethics. A request arrives that sits wrong in your gut. You seek clarity before you comply. You ask how the choice serves customers, law, and the company's stated values. You request guidance in writing. You refuse to carry silent complicity. You do this with respect and facts. Work script to raise a values concern. You say, I'm concerned this approach may mislead customers about data use. Could we review with legal and our privacy lead before proceeding? I want to protect trust and reduce risk. If you are pressed to proceed without review, you document your ask in a short email and keep tone neutral. Your boundaries live in your body. Under stress, your breath shortens and your voice tightens. You cannot talk your way into calm, you breathe your way there. You practice a physical reset you can use in a hallway, a call, or a crowded room. The reset becomes a reflex. A micro practice for fast regulation. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6 twice. Drop your shoulders. Name one concrete action you will take next. Then move. The body shifts the story. Team dynamics change when someone new arrives with a louder style. You do not adopt their pace if it breaks your craft. You translate your boundaries into benefits for the team. You narrate how your focus blocks protect delivery. You invite the new voice into your rhythm instead of letting your rhythm vanish. I hold a 2-hour focus block each morning so analysis lands on time without rework. I'll surface at 11 with updates and decisions needed. When a colleague repeatedly crosses lines, you escalate with documentation and a solution. You stay specific. You avoid character judgments and stick to the impact on work. You propose a mechanism that prevents repeat, like a shared intake, a standing review window, or a change in owner. You ask for endorsement from a leader so the mechanism has teeth. Work script for formalizing a fix. You write, to reduce last-minute scope changes, I propose a Wednesday noon cutoff for the week's release, with exceptions approved by the project owner. We've had 3 late adds in 2 weeks that risked quality. Please confirm this as our default going forward. Not every boundary is about saying no. Some are about saying yes with clarity so you stop policing every edge alone. You establish tolerances. You state what is acceptable within a range and what requires review. People relax when they know the rails, and you relax because you are not the only guard. I'm comfortable with design tweaks within the current palette and layout. Any change to flow or data sources needs a quick check with me. Your identity as a calm operator grows when you choose simple language during conflict. You eliminate hedging and remove extra adjectives. You refuse to diagnose motives. You state facts, limits, and choices. You let silence carry some of the weight. Silence invites responsibility. Given the current capacity, I can ship A by Wednesday or B by Friday. Which do you prefer? Your friendships need boundaries that honor your season. When work stretches, you protect connection without false promises. You share truth early and offer a plan that gives both of you something to look forward to. You let your friends support your focus rather than compete with it. Friend script over text for a busy season. You type, I am in a heavy sprint through the 28th and I miss you. Can we book a slow breakfast on the 30th? I'll bring the coffee and block 2 hours for us. Your friend hears love and specificity. Family needs visibility into your shifting week. You do not leave them guessing. You name your windows for presence and you keep them. You ask for what you need without apology. You expect respect because you give it. Family script for a crunch week. You say, this week I am heads down from 8 to 6. I will be fully present for dinner and a walk at 7. If anything urgent comes up, text urgent and I'll check at my break. You keep dinner and the walk so the line earns trust. Midweek, you reaffirm your stance with one clear refrain that acts like a spine through your choices. Be kind, be clear, be consistent. Kind keeps your tone human, clear cuts through spin. Consistent trains the room to take you seriously. You do not wield the refrain as a weapon, you use it as a compass. Career growth tests boundaries in new ways. You receive opportunities that sparkle but do not fit. You evaluate them against your values and your enough number. You ask whether the role pays for the energy it will cost. You ask whether the culture supports adult collaboration. You ask whether the work sharpens your craft or only expands your calendar. I'm grateful for the offer. To evaluate fit, I'd like clarity on scope, decision authority, and support resources. I want to ensure the goals are achievable within sane hours. A money micro practice for offers. Write 3 numbers on one line: you're enough, you're strong, yes, and your walk away. Add 1 short sentence about non-money must-haves. Enter negotiation with the line visible. You speak calmly because you are not guessing. Crisis mode can arrive without warning. An outage, a public error, a client escalation. Your boundary is to keep a rhythm even inside urgency. You declare roles, define the decision window, and establish an update cadence. You eliminate side channels that distract. You protect your team from blame spirals by keeping language factual and forward. Work script for a live incident channel. You type: roles set, owner on mitigation is Priya, comms is Alan, decision window for rollback is 20 minutes based on error rate. Updates every 5 minutes in this thread, post only facts and actions. You keep the channel clean so brains can work. After crisis, you insist on a blameless review. Boundaries include recovery and learning. You refuse to let urgency become a culture. You document what changed, what helped, and one process fix. You schedule the fix, not just the meeting. Your energy economy matters as much as your money economy. You identify people and patterns that chronically drain. You set tighter gates with those inputs. You give more access to those who bring clarity and care. You do not carry every mood in the room. You become porous to support and less permeable to chaos. A micro practice to reset your inputs. Trim 2 group chats that generate noise without action. Add 1 quiet input that nourishes you, like a chapter of a grounded book before work. Retest in 2 weeks. Your mental feed is part of your boundary. Some weeks you need a tactical retreat. A day off, a half day, a late start to recover. You request it early and you frame it as protection for outcomes rather than indulgence. You do not apologize for being human. You budget recovery because recovery funds performance. I'm taking Friday as a recharge day after the launch so I can return Monday sharp. I'll complete handoffs by Thursday noon and set backups for any questions. You become a better collaborator when your boundaries include generosity. You say no without contempt and yes without martyrdom. You praise others for holding healthy lines. You share templates and phrases that helped you. You treat boundary skill as a team asset. I appreciate you protecting your focus block. It keeps our pipeline clean. I'll mirror that in my calendar as well. When your manager or a senior leader undermines a boundary after agreement, you do not swallow it. You reference the agreement and the shared goal. You ask for alignment again with dates and owners. If needed, you loop in the next level calmly. You make it about the work. Work script to restate an agreement. You say, to recap our plan from last week, I hold mornings for the audit to hit the 22nd deadline with status at 4 daily. Today's request collides with that. Do you want to keep the audit on track or shift the date? I'll adjust immediately based on your call. At home, money boundaries ease work choices. You build a small cushion even if it takes time. You automate tiny transfers so willpower is not required. You align spending with the values that actually make your life feel rich. You stop buying relief you do not need. You buy time and calm instead. A money-ready line for invitations that stretch your budget. I'm keeping it simple this month. I'd love a walk and tea at my place instead. Your self-talk is a boundary you hear all day. You choose phrases that reinforce steadiness. You refuse catastrophizing. You replace I must with I choose when it is true. You speak to yourself like you would to a teammate you respect. I choose to stop at 6 so I can think clearly tomorrow. Deadlines approach and a stakeholder asks for one more change. You weigh the value honestly. If it helps, you accept with a clear trade-off. If it dilutes the work or risks the date, you decline with an explanation anchored to outcomes. I can add the export button and still ship on Friday if we move tooltip polish to next week. If a Friday launch is non-negotiable, I recommend keeping scope as is. With friends, you also hold time for celebration. Boundaries protect joy, not just work. You plan delight like you plan deliverables, so delight actually happens. You put a simple event on the calendar and you keep it. You let your nervous system learn that rest and pleasure are safe. Friend script to schedule joy. You type, "We owe ourselves a small win dinner next week. Thursday at 7. I'll book the cozy place near the park." Your calendar reflects a whole person, not only a worker. With family, you model apology without collapse when your line slips. You name the slip, repair, and reset. You do not over-explain. You do not make yourself small. You show that boundaries flex and then return. Family script after a broken evening promise. You say, "I worked late last night and missed our show. I'm sorry. Tonight I'm stopping at 6 and phones go away during dinner." You keep the new promise and trust repairs. Your weekly review becomes a quiet ceremony that keeps boundaries alive. You scan your meetings, your outcomes, your money, your energy. You drop what no longer fits. You choose one tweak for next week. You speak it aloud. You keep it for 7 days, then you review again. Small cycles create big change. A micro practice for the review ritual. Friday afternoon, write 4 lines. What worked, what drained, what I will stop, what I will start. Circle 1 start and 1 stop. Put them on your calendar as tiny appointments. Treat them like any other meeting. You close today with a firm, gentle conviction. You do not need to earn rest by breaking first. You do not need to impress by overpromising. You become trustworthy by drawing healthy lines and delivering inside them. Your career grows because your foundation is steady. Your relationships deepen because people can rely on your word and your presence. Your money steadies because your choices match your real life. I am allowed to choose a sustainable pace and still do remarkable work. Yesterday, you created handrails for change, protected ethics with calm questions, and kept a steady rhythm through reorgs and crunch. You paired visible outcomes with humane limits so your energy and credibility could grow together. Today, you refine influence, self-trust, and sustainable pace. You learn to align people without force, to choose your battles with care, and to keep your budget of time and money pointed at what you value. You treat your presence like an instrument you tune on purpose. You start with alignment before action. Most friction comes from unclear aims, not from bad intent. When the room argues features, you bring it back to the mission. When the chat swirls about preferences, you bring it back to outcomes. You keep the conversation anchored to what matters so decisions get lighter. I want to bring us back to the measurable outcome. If we agree on that, the next choice becomes simple. Your influence grows when you frame trade-offs clearly and ask for a choice. You do not offer 5 options and pray. You present 2 or 3 viable paths with risks and dates. Then you pause. Silence gives adults room to decide. You respect the decision even if it is not your favorite, and you execute cleanly. A micro practice for crisp framing. Before any meeting, write 1 sentence that starts with the outcome and ends with 2 options. Keep that sentence visible during the call. When drift begins, read it once and ask which option the group prefers. Self-trust is a boundary you build from evidence. You keep promises to yourself in small ways so big moments feel possible. You stop negotiating with your deep work block just because your inbox twitches. You stop negotiating with sleep because a tiny task begs for attention. You build a reputation with yourself that you protect like you protect a key relationship. I keep my smallest promises first. That is how I earn larger trust. When you write short. When you speak slow. Short reveals responsibility. Slow lowers the heat in the room. You stop selling your points with speed or volume. You let clarity do the work. People hear you because you make space for sense. A micro practice for slow clarity. Record yourself reading 1 boundary sentence. Play it back. Cut 3 words, read it again at 80% speed. Use that pace in your next live moment. Your calendar is a map of your values, your budget is the legend. You align them. If focus leads to results, you protect the hours that actually ship outcomes. If stability at home helps you say a clean no at work, you give your money plan a simple cadence: essentials, savings, joy. You stop punishing yourself when numbers are honest. You choose with your values instead of guilt. I spend on what I value and cut what I do not, in both time and dollars. Now, influence without authority. You are often responsible for results you cannot force. Your tool is clarity paired with respect. You name the decision, the owner, and the impact of delay. You share status in the open. You offer help that fits your scope without becoming a secret owner. You escalate patterns with steady facts, not with a storm. Work script for nudging a partner team. You write, noting that the API update is the blocker for Thursday's launch. Owner listed is DevOps with a target of noon tomorrow. Happy to assist with test data. Please confirm status by 3 so we can hold the date or adjust comms. You keep tone even and the path visible. Your attention stays valuable when you defend it from faux urgency. Not everything that pings is important. You create a simple decision tree. If it relates to a live customer issue or a public date today, surface now. If not, queue for the next window. You share this rule so your teammates know how to work with you. A micro practice to install the tree. Write your 2-part urgency rule on a sticky note and place it on your monitor. Point to it when someone asks for an instant answer. Train the room gently by being consistent. Friendships deserve your clarity too. You offer plans that fit your rhythm and budget. You decline with warmth and you propose a near alternative. You let your friends opt into your calmer pace rather than always matching someone else's sprint. Friend script by text for a pricey invite. You type, that spot looks lovely and it's not in my budget this month. I'd love a picnic in the garden Saturday at 2. I'll bring fruit and sparkling water. You keep connection alive without self-betrayal. Family thrives when expectations are visible. You share your focus windows for the week and highlight when you will be truly present. You make good on those times. The household relaxes because your yes and your no mean something. Family script at the start of the week. You say, I'm focused 9 to 11 and 3 to 5 on weekdays. I'm fully free for dinner at 6 and a walk after. If you need me during a block, say urgent and I'll step out for 2 minutes if possible. You keep the routine until it becomes normal. You practice boundary recovery in real time. If you overtalk, you stop midstream and summarize. If you overpromise, you correct within the hour. If you slip on your stop time, you announce a clean end and honor it. Recovery is not confession, it is course correction. Adults prefer truth to drift. I said yes too fast. Here is my corrected capacity. I can take 1 piece this week and 1 next week. Please confirm which is most important. Your credibility rises when you document choices where everyone can see. You put decisions in the doc, assign owners, and add dates. You keep a tiny changelog so no one has to guess. This prevents quiet scope creep and protects your evenings. A micro practice for visible decisions. After each meeting, post 3 lines in the project channel: decision, owner, date. Pin the message. Do this for 1 week. Notice how many side pings disappear. Money clarity shows up in your career bets. You do not chase a title if the role steals your health or contradicts your values. You do not reject a lateral move if it compounds your skill and peace. You decide with both math and meaning. You talk to mentors who know your strengths, not just your fears. I choose roles that pay fairly, protect my health, and grow my craft. That is my filter. At work, you teach people how to approach you by the way you respond. If you reward last-minute chaos with heroics, chaos repeats. If you reward clarity with rapid help, clarity repeats. You cannot control others fully, but you can train patterns through what you reinforce. Work script to reinforce clarity. You say, "Thank you for the clear scope and deadline. Because it's precise, I can deliver by Thursday noon. Keep this format and I'll be fast." The room learns what gets your best speed. Your voice can be soft and still decisive. You do not need extra edges to hold a line. You can say one clean sentence and stop. You can let the other person feel what they feel without fixing it. You respect their autonomy and keep yours. "I'm not available for weekend work. I'll deliver the agreed draft by Tuesday morning." You design rituals that cool reactivity. You use a single transition move before each context switch. Stand, inhale, exhale, name the next result out loud. Your brain catches up with your schedule. You stop dragging the last conversation into the next. A micro practice for transitions. Set a tiny chime every 90 minutes. When it rings, stand, breathe once, and ask, "What is my result for the next block?" Say it in fewer than 10 words. Then begin. This takes less than a minute and returns that minute tenfold. You also refine how you ask for what you need. You do not hint. You do not stack 10 reasons. You ask plainly with context and a time. You accept a no and you request alternatives without sulking. Your dignity remains intact because your ask is adult. "I'm requesting Thursday morning for focused prep. If that cannot work, I'll take Friday 9 to 11. Please confirm which window is available." When emotions spike around you, you choose a pace that calms. You slow your speech and lower your volume. You reflect a single fact. You restate the goal, then you state your boundary and the next step. This sequence helps nervous systems settle without anyone losing face. "I hear that the date feels tight. The goal is a stable release. I will not cut testing. Options are to trim scope or move the date. Which do you choose?" Do not forget joy as a boundary. You reserve energy for what makes you feel alive. A book on your desk, plants by the window, a song for the walk. These are not decorations, they are energy sources. You do not wait for permission to include them. You make them part of your work hygiene. Money and time both benefit from batching. You batch errands, batch small admin tasks, batch low-stakes decisions. You decide once about lunches for the week. You decide once about outfits for the week. Each small simplification frees attention for craft and relationships. A micro practice for batching. Choose one category this week to decide once: lunches, outfits, or workouts. Make the choices in 15 minutes on Sunday. Notice how many micro decisions vanish each day. You treat feedback like a resource you curate. You request it from people who see your work clearly and want you to win. You ask for specifics. You do not swallow vague criticism whole. You extract the part that improves outcomes and release the rest. This protects your energy and sharpens your skill. I appreciate the note. Could you share one example and what different result you wanted? I'll adjust based on that. With friends, you stop trying to be everywhere. You choose presence over ubiquity. You show up when you say you will and you enjoy the time without apology. You send a short note of affection when you cannot attend. You keep connection alive through honest cadence, not constant availability. Friend script by voice note. You say, "I'm cheering you on from my quiet night. I can't make it tonight and I've put next Thursday on my calendar to celebrate you properly." Your friend hears care and certainty. With family, you turn recurring friction into a plan. You name the pattern once, agree on a micro fix, and review after a week. You replace blame with iteration. You show that home can be run like a kind, flexible project. Family script for morning chaos. You say, "Mornings feel rushed. Let's set lunches the night before and put keys in a tray by the door. We try it for 5 days and adjust Friday night." You implement the tiny change and everyone breathes easier. Your professional presence matures as you choose fewer, clearer commitments. You stop collecting committees and start curating impact. You protect one learning block and one relationship block on your calendar each week. You measure their return quarterly, which keeps you patient and focused. I invest in one skill and one relationship every week. Compounding does the rest. When negotiation appears, you remain friendly and exact. You anchor with data, show flexibility within rational bounds, and ask precise questions. You do not rush to fill silence. You let the other person reveal constraints you can design around. You aim for durable agreements, not fragile wins. Work script for scope and timeline. You say, given the metrics target, the minimal viable feature set is X and Y to ship by the 14th. We remove Z or add a day for QA. Which configuration do you prefer? I'll lock the plan and post it today. Guard your nights. A clean stop is a strategy, not a luxury. You close your day with a sentence to tomorrow, a tidy desk, and a walk or stretch. You let your body know the workday is over so sleep can do its job. You wake with a brain that is ready to think rather than firefight. A micro practice for steady nights. Set your phone to charge outside your bedroom. Put a paper book by your bed. When your mind reaches for a screen, reach for the book and read 2 pages. Train the association, bed equals rest. Money steadiness makes no room for shame. You look at your numbers weekly with a neutral tone. You fix leaks, you celebrate small wins, you adjust when life shifts. You do not let fear sell you urgency work you do not need. Calm review beats frantic avoidance. I look at my money on Fridays for 10 minutes. Numbers are information, not judgment. Protect your curiosity. It keeps you adaptable. You book tiny learning experiments at work and in life. You test a new agenda format. You try a different morning ritual. You observe results. Curiosity turns boundaries from rigid fences into living agreements that evolve with you. With colleagues who chronically resist, you scale down the surface area where friction can occur. You move conversations to shared docs, you time box live debates, you agree on a minimum spec and review cadence. You keep tone respectful and the system simple. You choose structure over drama. Work script for a resistant partner. You write, to reduce back and forth, I've added a checklist to the top of the doc. Let's comment there by noon tomorrow and meet for 15 minutes only if needed. I'll proceed with whichever items show a check by then. You set a container that keeps work moving. You give credit generously and specifically. It costs you nothing and strengthens culture. You name the person, the action, and the impact. People feel seen and reciprocate. Recognition becomes a flywheel that supports boundaries because trust rises. I want to thank Maya for tightening the intake form. It cut our request time by half and protected the release window. Your inner narration stays firm and kind. You do not call yourself lazy when you rest. You call yourself a person who honors rhythms. You do not call yourself selfish when you set a line. You call yourself responsible. The words you choose become the weather you work inside. When you feel pulled to break your line, you check alignment against your stated values and this week's outcomes. If the request serves both better than your current plan, you pivot with clarity. If not, you hold your line without guilt. Flexibility plus principle equals leadership. I'm keeping the plan that serves the release and our values. If priorities change, I'll realign immediately. You close today by choosing one influence habit to practice this week. Maybe it is posting decisions in public, maybe it is pausing after you present options, maybe it is one crisp sentence that reframes a drifting conversation back to outcomes. Write it on a card. Use it 3 times. Notice what changes in the room when your presence becomes calm and precise. Yesterday you refined influence, self-trust, and sustainable pace. You framed choices with outcomes, defended your attention from faux urgency, and aligned your calendar and budget with your values. Today you scale calm leadership. You practice how to mentor others into healthy lines, how to handle performance gaps without losing kindness, and how to protect strategy time so you stop living only in the week. You make room for growth by designing boundaries that lift the people around you, not just shield you. You begin by shifting from solo boundaries to shared standards. You stop being the only person guarding focus. You invite teammates into simple agreements and show them how boundaries increase output and reduce drama. You do this with gentle prompts, small artifacts, and consistent behavior people can copy. A micro practice to begin. Ask one teammate this morning what boundary would make their week easier. Capture their sentence in your notes, reflect it back, and support it once this week in public. Small sponsorship makes healthy norms contagious. You protect strategy time like revenue. Execution pays today, strategy pays next quarter. You block a weekly 2-hour window for thinking beyond the sprint. Risks to retire, processes to simplify, skills to learn, relationships to strengthen. You defend this time with the same seriousness you would give a client call. You emerge with one action that changes the slope, not just the next step. I hold a weekly strategy block. If you need me during it, please offer 2 options after the block and I will choose one. Performance conversations test your steadiness. You can be honest, precise, and still warm. You separate the person from the pattern. You describe the gap, the impact, the expected behavior, and the support available. You define a review date. You do not outsource clarity to feelings. You let clarity serve their growth. Work script for a performance reset face-to-face. You say, I want you to succeed. Over the last 3 weeks, the deliverables landed late and lacked the required checks. Impact is rework and a slip in trust with stakeholders. The standard is on time with checklist compliance. Let's agree on a plan and a Monday, Wednesday, Friday check for the next 2 weeks. You keep your tone steady and your next steps specific. Your friendships evolve as your leadership grows. You may need quieter nights and fewer spontaneous midweek plans. You honor the friendship by giving truth early and offering plans that you can keep. You show up more deeply when you do say yes. Friend script over voice note. You say, I'm in a build phase and nights are quiet for sleep. I'd love a Sunday walk and coffee at 10. If that works, I'm all yours. You protect your rhythm and the friendship at the same time. Family sees your ambition and may worry about distance. You answer worry with predictable presence. You set small rituals you keep even when the week tilts. Breakfast check-ins, midweek calls, weekend errands together. You keep your words so love stays felt. Family script by text. You type, my days are full this week. I'll call Wednesday at 7 on my walk and we'll do groceries together Saturday at 11. Thank you for cheering me on. Mentorship is a boundary practice too. You teach the people you guide to protect their focus, to ask clean questions, and to say no with a path forward. You resist rescuing. You coach them to build their own containers. You make your wisdom explicit so it can scale without you. A micro practice to mentor without rescuing. When asked for help, reply with 2 questions first. What outcome are you aiming for, and what 2 options have you considered? After they answer, give 1 suggestion or a tiny template. Stay present without taking over. Money clarity expands here. As your scope grows, so does your leverage. You review compensation annually against market data and impact. You prepare a concise evidence packet with outcomes, metrics, and peer ranges. You negotiate with a steady voice, not a defensive one. You tie pay to value and you ask for career paths that match your strengths. I'd like to align compensation with scope. Over the last cycle, I delivered A and B with result C. Market ranges for this level are X to Y. I'm requesting Z, and a step-up plan to lead area D in the next quarter. You protect team budget like oxygen. You cut waste without cutting care. You quantify meeting hours, tool creep, and rework costs. You move resources from noise to outcomes. You present the math in plain language so every person understands how their attention and dollars translate into value. A money micro practice for your team. Pick one recurring meeting and compute the monthly cost. Share the number and propose a 2-week experiment, shorten, move to a sync, or end. Track outcomes and decide together. You teach fiscal clarity without shame. Cross-cultural work needs tender boundaries. Directness lands differently across contexts. You adapt tone without abandoning clarity. You use more questions, fewer imperatives. You acknowledge differences and tie requests to shared goals. You double-check understanding in writing. I want to be respectful of our different styles. To confirm we're aligned, could you share back the 2 decisions and dates we agreed? I'll do the same on my end. Crisis etiquette is a leadership boundary. You stop the pylon in crowded channels. You set roles and update cadence. You prevent blame from colonizing the room. After resolution, you insist on a short, blameless review and schedule the one fix that matters. You do not let crisis become culture. Work script in a loud incident thread. You type, "Let's keep this focused." Owner, Priya on mitigation. Comms, Alan, decision window, 20 minutes, updates every 5. Please post facts and actions only. After we stabilize, I'll schedule a 30-minute review to capture one process fix. You design boundaries that make creativity safer. You set critique rules, separate idea from person, point to the goal, propose alternatives. You keep brainstorming time boxed. You capture ideas in a visible doc so quiet voices count. You prevent meetings from becoming wrestling matches where the loudest wins. A micro practice for kinder critique. In your next review, ask for one thing to keep, one to change, one to try. Require examples, close with owner and date. Simple frames reduce ego spikes. Your own attention still needs strong gates. You remove even more micro decisions that drain you. You pre-decide lunches, outfits, and admin windows. You stop checking analytics in loops. You look once per day at set times. You move your phone away when you write. You treat your brain like a craftsman's tool, sharpened and stored with care. I do not let notifications spend my focus. I spend it on purpose. As your influence rises, so do invitations that wander from your lane. Panels, committees, side projects that flatter and distract. You apply a filter with kindness. Does this align with this year's outcomes? Does it fit my energy budget? Does it pay in growth, impact, or fair compensation? If not, you decline and suggest someone who would benefit. I'm honored by the invite, and I'm focused on initiatives X and Y this quarter. May I recommend Jordan, who is building in this space and would be an excellent voice. You learn to name and retire invisible labor. The unrecorded cleanup, the emotional glue, the note-taking that always falls to you. You surface it without resentment and design a rotation or a lightweight process. You stop volunteering by reflex. You let shared work be truly shared. Work script to retire invisible labor in email. You write, noting that meeting notes and scheduling have fallen to me by default. To keep this sustainable, let's rotate weekly. I've added a simple template in the doc. I'll take this week, then pass to Alex next week. Your friendships deserve clarity around money as well as time. You normalize low-cost plans and early talk about budgets. You show that intimacy is not measured in price tags, and you relieve everyone of silent pressure. I'm keeping a light budget this month. A backyard tea and long chat would make me happier than a dinner out. Sunday at 3 works for me. Family logistics can eat attention. You transform chaos into a visible system. A shared calendar for appointments, a standing family budget check on the first Friday, a simple chore rotation. You speak to outcomes and respect everyone's time. Home becomes a calmer base that supports bold work. Family script to install a shared calendar. You say, let's put all appointments and school events in one shared calendar. I'll add recurring reminders tonight. We review Fridays at 7 for 10 minutes so the week stops surprising us. You keep your ethics bright. You do not ship numbers you cannot defend. You push back on tactics that play with truth. You ask for a written decision when you disagree. You accept outcomes with dignity and you protect your name. Your boundary is your reputation. I cannot represent this metric as success without the denominator. I recommend we disclose both and explain the context. If the decision is to proceed otherwise, please document it, and I will refrain from presenting that slide. Your body remains your early warning system. Tight shoulders, held breath, clenched jaw. You treat these as signals, not character flaws. You run a quick reset and then choose your next sentence. You practice it so much that your body knows the drill before your mind spirals. A micro practice to reset on demand. Unclench your jaw, roll your shoulders once. Exhale fully and let your belly soften. Say one line under your breath, I choose my pace, then speak your boundary. You build a bench, you do not hoard knowledge. You document key flows, risks, and contacts. You run small drills. You let others lead meetings while you coach. Boundaries become stronger when not one person holds all the context. Your value shifts from being the hero to building a system that thrives. I've documented the release flow with owners, times, and risks. Next Wednesday, Sam will run point while I observe. We'll debrief after for improvements. Negotiation shows up beyond pay and scope. It shows up in office location, travel, conference budgets, and training time. You ask for the configuration that supports results and health. You present trade-offs. You show how your request pays back. I'm requesting one remote day midweek to protect deep work on the model. Based on last quarter, this raised throughput by 30%. I will post a noon update and be available for a brief sync at 1. You watch for boundary leaks through tech. Shared calendars showing personal hours to the whole org. Direct message permissions that bypass your triage. You adjust settings and explain why. You keep your tools working for you. A micro practice for tool hygiene. Today, review your calendar sharing and notification overrides. Remove personal details from public view, keep free busy, and allow urgent bypass for only 2 people. This takes 5 minutes and calms your week. You keep telling the truth in small ways. You call out when a deadline is theater. You say when a date is real because of a customer promise. You rank risks in writing. You challenge assumptions gently and ask for data. The room steadies when someone uses real words. I want to separate internal preference from external commitment. The only hard date here is the client review on the 18th. Let's plan around that and treat the others as flexible. Your evenings remain sacred. You stop glamorizing exhaustion. You favor a clear stop and a simple night over late, noisy productivity. You design micro-closures that help your mind release work. You trust that rest funds sharper thinking tomorrow. I'm closing now. I'll pick up with the open questions at 9 and deliver the draft by noon. Mentally, you retire the story that you must earn your boundary with overwork first. You hold the line because it is smart, not because you are collapsing. You let good results reinforce the habit until it becomes your default identity. A micro practice for identity shift. At the end of each day this week, write one sentence. I held the line here and it helped by X 2 lines, 30 seconds. Evidence rewires belief. You keep investing in your future through money and skill. A small auto transfer to savings. A tiny index fund contribution. A weekly learning block. You accept slow compounding as your ally. The calm you feel at work grows from the knowledge that you are taking care of future you. I pay my future first, even with small amounts. I learn one thing a week, I trust compounding. You also design exits. A good boundary includes when to leave a project, a role, or a room. You define signals, values conflict that will not move, recurring ethical discomfort, health harm, stagnant growth. You prepare a clean transition plan before you need it so you can act quickly if the signals stack. Work script for a graceful transition email. You write, After reviewing scope and my strengths, I recommend transitioning Project Delta to Priya, who leads this domain. I will document the current state, record a walkthrough, and be available for questions through the 15th. This shift lets me focus on Area K where I add the most value. You exit with respect and order. Your friendships continue to benefit from simple honesty. You celebrate each other's boundaries. You stop apologizing for quiet seasons. You share joy without pressure. Your yes feels real because your no is real. I can't this week and I care. I've set a reminder to check in Sunday, sending you love and a long coffee soon. Family grows stronger when you ask for help instead of pretending you can hold everything. You create small trades that lighten each person's load. You let interdependence be a strength rather than a secret. Family script to ask for support. You say, I can handle school pickup this month if you take dinner 3 nights. Let's check in on Sunday nights and adjust. Thank you. Your leadership now looks like steadiness that other people can rest inside. You are not the loudest person in the room. You are the person who keeps the room adult. You teach through example that clarity speeds kindness, that boundaries grow trust, and that outcomes matter more than performance theater. I choose calm systems over chaos. I choose honest trade-offs over pretend capacity. I keep my word. Close today by picking one area to scale your calm: mentorship, performance conversations, or strategy time. Put a 2-sentence plan on your calendar for next week with a real block. Share it with one person who benefits. Keep the block, teach the rhythm. Your work and life get lighter when your boundaries lift others with you. Yesterday, you scaled calm leadership by mentoring others into healthy lines, handling performance gaps with clarity, and protecting strategy time so you stop living only in the week. You turned boundaries into shared standards that lift the whole room without noise. Today, you consolidate mastery. You weave your systems, scripts, and values into a reliable way of working that survives travel, crunch, and change. You practice presence that keeps rooms adult. You refine judgment that saves hours. You choose a pace that feels like you and still delivers. You prepare for the long game where your word and your wellness both hold. You start with identity. You are a person who honors focus, communicates with brevity, and moves work by making decisions visible. You prove this identity each day with tiny acts. You choose to keep your first deep block. You post one crisp update even when no one asks. You finish a task before opening an inbox. You hold a stop time. Identity is not a slogan, it is a trail of kept promises. A micro practice to anchor identity. On a small card, write 3 sentences that describe how you operate. I keep deep work sacred. I communicate decisions in writing. I end days clean. Place the card near your trackpad. Touch it before you accept any new request and let it guide your answer. Mastery thrives when your schedule matches your brain. You map your energy like a tide chart. Morning might be logic and writing. Early afternoon might be coordination. Late afternoon might be review and wrap. You do not apologize for working with your rhythms, you structure around them so quality rises without more hours. I work with my best hours, not against them. The most difficult boundary is often with worthy work that does not belong to you. You say no to good ideas to protect great outcomes. You name the trade-off out loud so you feel the truth of it. You write the reason once so you do not debate it 5 times in your head. You choose with care and then you move. I'm focusing on core deliverables that move the metric this month. I'm declining side initiatives until the review date. Influence at scale requires a calm center when agendas collide. You hold the room to the outcome. You invite disagreement early and then ask for a decision. You do not force consensus, you force clarity. Once the choice lands, you document it and proceed. This keeps debate from metastasizing into delay. A micro practice for outcome guardrails. At the top of any shared doc, write the outcome in one clear sentence and list the 2 current options with dates. During discussion, point back to those lines before anyone adds a third option. If a third emerges, ask what it replaces. You treat information like a river instead of a hoarded lake. You share drafts early enough to catch defects while they are cheap. You use lightweight artifacts so you can move fast without leaving understanding behind. You keep private notes for sensitive topics and public notes for everything else. Transparency is not a performance, it is a time saver. Money clarity continues to steady you. You maintain a simple budget that supports your values now and your freedom later. Essentials first, a modest buffer, 1 or 2 joys that make life feel rich, then the rest. You stop buying relief with impulse spending that creates pressure later. You buy time, calm, and skill instead. A money micro practice for the long game. Create a tiny recurring calendar event called 10-Minute Money Friday. In those 10 minutes, skim your accounts, move a small amount to savings or debt, and name one spending win. You end the check with one line, "I am steering." 10 minutes grows confidence without drama. Work becomes smoother when you pre-declare how trade-offs get made. You design a small decision rubric with your team and use it in public. Impact on customers, risk to stability, effort to deliver, learning value. You score options quickly and choose. The rubric does not remove judgment, it focuses it. I'm choosing the lower risk path that still meets the goal because the public date is firm. We'll add the stretch piece in the next cycle. You refine escalation so it never sounds like alarm. You surface facts early, pair them with 2 options, and ask for a decision with a timestamp. You avoid adjectives. You avoid blame. You keep it boring on purpose so people trust your signal. I'm flagging a dependency risk. Vendor review is tracking 2 days behind. Option 1 is to trim scope Y and keep the date. Option 2 is to move the launch to Tuesday. Please confirm by 3. Mentorship deepens as you model self-respect in action. You share templates, you share your working with me note, you share a recording of a tough conversation where you held a line kindly. You do not perform perfection. You tell the truth about slips and how you repaired. Your team learns that steadiness is built, not born. A micro practice to spread steadiness. Host a 10-minute boundary clinic at the end of a stand-up this week. Invite one real script from anyone, refine it together into one sentence, and paste it into a shared library. Repeat next week with a new scenario. You continue to remove friction from communication. You write subject lines that tell the whole story. Decision needed by Thursday. Choose A or B for client rollout. You keep message bodies short, 1 paragraph, 1 ask, 1 date. You put the owner's name next to the action. You end with the next checkpoint. You reduce the number of words while raising the number of decisions. I'll post the draft at 4. Please comment only on accuracy, not style. Owner for final call is Nina by noon tomorrow. Money shows up in time policy too. You build in recovery instead of treating rest as a reward for collapse. You schedule 1 micro vacation day each quarter to think and breathe. You guard holiday windows for family or solitude. You put these on the calendar first so they do not become leftover scraps. You do better work because you are not working from fumes. I book rest like a deliverable because it funds quality. You handle hard news with dignity. If a project ends, a budget tightens, or a role shifts, you speak plainly. You do not overpromise. You name what you can control and where you will push. You give people a plan for the next week so the ground feels solid even if the horizon is foggy. Work script for difficult updates. You say, we're reducing scope for Q4 due to budget. Impact is pausing feature Z this week. We close open bugs, update docs, and prepare a retrospective. I'll bring options for a higher leverage path Monday. Thank you for staying steady while we reset. Some of your most important boundaries are with attention hijackers that live on your phone and browser. You design your defaults to protect you. Do not disturb during deep blocks, social apps off your home screen, a separate browser profile for work, a minimum tab policy. You do not rely on willpower, you rely on architecture. A micro practice for attention architecture. Create two browser profiles, work and personal. In work, remove autoplay and limit bookmarks to project tools. In personal, sign out of work accounts. Use only the work profile during work hours. This single split can cut context switch fatigue by half. Leadership includes handing back what does not belong to you. When a pattern emerges that you did not create and cannot solve alone, you invite the right owner in. You refuse to play silent shock absorber. You share the pattern once with data, propose a fix, and ask for decision. You stay collaborative and firm. I'm seeing repeated late ads after the Wednesday cutoff. I recommend we enforce the cutoff and route exceptions to the project owner for approval. Please confirm so I can reference this publicly. You maintain seriousness about results without becoming grim. You lighten tension with simple human touches. A thank you in public, a small celebration when the team protects a boundary, a note of appreciation for a clean handoff. Joy is not fluff, it is fuel. I want to recognize today's tidy reviews. Because we kept scope tight and feedback precise, we shipped an hour early. Thank you for protecting the window. Your friends continue to benefit from your clarity. When money or energy is tight, you do not go silent. You say what is true and offer a near path. Most friendships grow when freed from the pressure to perform. Friend script by text when plans collide with a heavy week. You type, I want to see you and I'm in a full week. Can we move dinner to next Friday, same time? I'll book it now so it sticks. You give a plan instead of a soft maybe. Family still needs simple, visible systems. A shared list for groceries that anyone can add to. A weekly budget check that lasts 10 minutes and uses round numbers. A quiet hour on Sunday to set the week, confirmed on the family calendar. You work with people, not against them. Family script for Sunday setup. You say, let's do a quick week plan at 5. We'll check the calendar, set dinners, and choose one fun thing. 10 minutes, then we're done. You keep it short so it gets done. You practice gracious assertiveness with senior voices. You do not shrink when asked to cut quality you consider non-negotiable. You restate the goal, present options, and stand firm on standards that protect the outcome and your name. You show respect and spine in the same breath. I support the date. To protect reliability, I won't reduce testing below our standard. Options are to trim scope or add a day. Which path do you want? Money clarity expands to generosity with boundaries. You donate or help in ways that fit your plan, not in ways that create pressure next month. You give time or money on purpose. You release guilt as a decision tool. You say yes with joy and no with kindness. I'm giving to 2 causes this quarter and holding the rest. I appreciate the invite and wish you a strong campaign. Your sense of enough becomes a shield against performative comparison. You stop measuring your success by someone else's calendar or salary. You measure it by your outcomes, your health, your relationships, and your integrity. Enough is not complacency. It is clarity that frees you to pick the right battles. A micro practice to solidify enough. Write one sentence. My enough this year is paying bills with ease, saving a small buffer, sleeping well, and having energy for 2 joys. Read it before career decisions and spending choices. Let it trim noise. You keep your backlog honest. Old promises decay into stress if never retired. You close or renegotiate tasks older than a month. You archive threads that no longer matter. You let some ideas go so living work can breathe. You carry less and finish more. I'm closing this thread due to shifted priorities. If the need revives, reopen with scope and a date. Thank you. When a colleague's tone is sharp, you do not absorb their heat. You model steady language and redirect to specifics. You protect your nervous system by refusing to join a spike. You leave a written trail that shows you chose adulthood. I want to keep this constructive. Let's focus on the decision and the data. My proposal is X for these reasons. If you prefer Y, I'll align and proceed. You invest in relationships that make your work lighter. You schedule short coffees with peers who teach you. You offer help before it is asked when the lift is small and the trust built is large. You are generous where it matters, not everywhere. Strategic kindness is not cynical, it is community. Leadership at scale includes teaching the organization to notice cost. You normalize asking what a meeting costs, what a delay costs, what a scope change costs. You do not weaponize numbers, you use them to make choices that protect people and outcomes. You change culture by making hidden costs visible. A money-ready line for group decisions. Choosing the async update saves about 3 hours across the team weekly while meeting the same goal. I recommend we test it for 2 weeks. You protect your reputation by keeping your agreements simple and your follow-through visible. If you miss, you repair quickly and publicly. You do not over-explain, you own, adjust, and deliver. People trust you because your pattern is reliable, not because you never err. I missed yesterday's handoff. I'm sorry for the ripple. I've posted the update now and set a daily alarm for this week. Thank you for your patience. Your evenings remain a sanctuary you guard with structure. A short grace period to close loops, a written first step for tomorrow, devices away from the bed, something quiet that signals you are done. You do not chase one more shallow task that robs tomorrow's deep work. You choose restoration. I close now so I can think clearly tomorrow. Friends thrive on small, regular touch points more than rare grand gestures. You leave voice notes, mail a postcard, send a photo from your walk. These tiny investments keep closeness alive while honoring the pace you chose. You let friendship feel easy. Family sees your steadiness and mirrors it. Children and partners adopt your shared calendars and short check-ins because they work. You become a node of calm around which a kinder cadence forms. You do not demand perfection, you celebrate progress. You smooth your future by creating a personal operations manual. One page with your key processes, response windows, deep work blocks, escalation paths, and recovery rituals. You share it with your manager and your closest collaborators. You update it quarterly. You are not precious about it, you treat it like a living tool. A micro practice to start your manual. Open a new doc and write 5 headings. Focus windows, communication norms, decision rules, handoff checklist, recovery plan. Fill each with 3 lines. Share it with one collaborator by end of day. Finally, you give yourself permission to enjoy the competence you have earned. You let your calm become a resource others can rely on without becoming their rescuer. You say fewer words that land deeper. You work at a steady pace that sustains a long, satisfying career. You protect home so love has room to breathe. You spend money in alignment with values so your choices feel clean. You keep crafting a life you recognize from the inside. I move with purpose and rest on purpose. I keep my word and my health. I am building a career I can live in. As you carry this forward, choose one mastery habit to emphasize this week. Maybe it is one public decision log each day. Maybe it is a single browser profile during work hours. Maybe it is a Sunday 10-minute money check. Write it on a card and place it where your hand will touch it. Each small repetition builds the future you want. Yesterday, you consolidated mastery with steady identity, clear updates, and design choices that protect focus and rest. You practiced boring on purpose escalation, shared artifacts early, and chose a pace that sustains craft and life. Today is your integration. You gather every tool you practiced and weave them into a simple system you can keep. You decide what you will protect, what you will prune, and what you will grow. You create a cadence that holds in busy seasons and in quiet ones. You prepare a legacy of steady work, clear money, and kind relationships that fit the life you want. Begin with your inner contract. You speak it to yourself before noise enters the day. I protect my mornings for deep work when possible. I respond in reliable windows. I ask clean questions before I accept. I finish what I start. You let those lines be the spine of your week. When pressure comes, you return to the contract and choose from there. A micro practice to set your inner contract for real. Write 3 short sentences that define your working identity this quarter. Tape them to your laptop. Read them before your first inbox check each day for 1 week. At the end of the week, keep what served and update 1 word to make it truer. You then gather your best scripts into 1 quiet page. Work, friends, family, you organize them by moments. Saying no, trading scope, protecting evenings, asking for help, handling conflict. This is your small library. You rehearse 1 line a day until it fits your mouth. I want to keep us on mission. With current capacity, I can deliver A by Wednesday or B by Friday. Which do you prefer? I'm saving this month and would love a walk and coffee instead of dinner. I'm off for the evening so I can rest. I'll call you tomorrow at 7. Presence is your amplifier. You choose calm words in short sentences and let silence do work you used to do with overtalking. You notice your breath and your posture before you speak. You begin at the outcome, not the drama. You end with the next step, not a loop. A micro practice for live steadiness. Before each meeting today, touch your feet to the floor, lift the crown of your head, soften your jaw, and exhale longer than you inhale. Speak your first sentence at 80% speed. Check in with your body once mid-conversation. Presence keeps boundaries steady without force. You create a maintenance loop that is lighter than your ambition but strong enough to hold it. Daily, 1 deep block, 1 visible decision, 1 clean stop. Weekly, a strategy window, a money glance, a relationship touch. Monthly, a short retrospective and 1 small upgrade to a process or tool. You stop reinventing your system. You keep it simple and alive. Money clarity remains a quiet ally. You review your essentials, your buffer, and 1 joy. You commit to value-based spending that supports rest, health, and learning. You stop buying status with exhaustion or purchases. Your definition of enough becomes a daily filter, not a vague hope. A money micro practice to close each week. On Friday, write 1 line where my money matched my values. Write 1 more, 1 change next week that lowers stress. Move $10 to savings or debt even if that is all. Your brain learns you are steering. Your system now serves more than you. You bring your team into a simple agreement. Focused mornings, clear agendas, tight decisions, visible handoffs, short async updates. You publish the norms and thank people for using them. You protect the norms with gentle repetition. Culture shifts quietly when kindness and clarity repeat. Work script to reinforce the norms. You say, I appreciate the crisp agenda and decision, it saved us 20 minutes. Let's keep that format. I'll post the summary and owners by 2. This rewards the behavior you want without scolding. Your friendships deepen with structure that respects energy and money. You plan slow rituals and easy joy. You replace last-minute guilt with early clarity. You trade expensive noise for connection you can feel. You let your friends love the real rhythm you keep, not the impossible one you used to fake. Friend script when your week is packed but you want a touch point. You type, I'm in a full stretch and thinking of you. Can we book a tea on the 12th at 4? I'll bring snacks and a long hug. You keep affection alive with specifics. Family thrives when the household runs on visible agreements. Shared calendars, quick Sunday check-ins, small chores you can actually keep. You do not aim for perfect. You aim for smoother. Your boundary is not distance, it is predictability. You become more available because your time has shape. Family script for the week. You say, this week I'm focused 9 to 11 and 3 to 5. I'm fully present for dinner at 6 and a walk after. If you need me during a block, say urgent and I'll check at the top of the hour. Trust grows because the plan is real and repeated. You choose how to carry power. You use it to lower friction, not to raise volume. You give credit often and specifically. You ask for fairness with numbers and outcomes. You hold standards because standards protect quality and people. You refuse to launder fear through other people's calendars. I won't reduce testing below our standard. Options are to trim scope or move the date. I'll support either. Resilience is not a hard shell. It is flexible structure that returns to shape after pressure. You build it by practicing quick repair without drama. If you miss a handoff, you own, correct, and add one small safeguard. If you slip your stop time, you call it and stop. You trust yourself because you keep repairing. I missed the check yesterday and I'm sorry for the ripple. I've posted the update now and set a 2 p.m. reminder for this week. You end performance theater by replacing it with receipts. A tiny outcomes log, decisions in public, owners next to actions. This removes the need to be always on. Visibility becomes a service, not a performance. Your boundaries stop being debated because the work is undeniable. A micro practice to cement receipts. For the next 5 workdays, post a daily 2-line summary in your team channel, outcomes shipped and next focus. Keep it short enough that people read it. Watch how many pings it prevents. You retire hidden labor that drains you. You ask for rotations on note-taking and scheduling. You push recurring work into checklists that anyone can run. You name emotional glue jobs and share them. You stop playing the silent saver of the day. You teach the room that adult collaboration is shared maintenance. Work script to rotate invisible tasks. You write, to keep this sustainable, I've added a rotation for notes and scheduling. Template is in the doc. I'll take this week, Alex next. Thank you for helping make this fair. You approach conflict with calm curiosity. You separate people from patterns. You ask for examples, you reflect what you heard, and you propose one next step. You avoid adjectives and blame. You choose a tone that saves the bridge while fixing the road. Consistency here protects your reputation and your nervous system. I want to understand and improve. Could you share 2 examples and the outcome you wanted instead? I'll adjust and confirm my plan by tomorrow. Leadership includes planning your exits. You define signals that tell you when a role, a project, or a relationship no longer fits. Values conflict that does not move. Health harm that persists. Learning flat for months. You prepare transitions kindly and clearly. You leave rooms better than you found them. A micro practice for future exits. Write 3 lines now, my non-negotiable signals, the first step I will take if 2 appear, the person I will call for perspective. Keep it private and visible. Preparation lowers fear and raises freedom. Under pressure, you keep the human in the loop. You check the person before the task. You celebrate small wins. You end crisis channels with a thank you and one process fix. You refuse to let urgency become identity. You hold a line that says results and care can coexist. I want to recognize the clean handoffs today. Because we kept scope tight and updates on schedule, the release stayed calm. Thank you for protecting that. Focus stays your edge. You stop treating deep work as a luxury. You treat it as the engine that pays for everything. You refuse to let shallow tasks fill prime hours. You make the default move one of subtraction. Fewer meetings, fewer tools, fewer words. You craft with intention. Your output goes up as the noise goes down. A micro practice to protect the engine. Move 1 meeting from your prime hour to your coordination window this week. Replace it with a protected deep block. Tell the group why. Keep the change for 2 weeks and decide with evidence. Your budget now works like your calendar, simple, honest, calm. You automate what you can and review what you must. You treat money like a tool for stability and choice, not a scorecard. You ask future you what she needs and you give her a slice today. You spend on rest, health, and skill because they pay rich compound interest. I invest in quiet, learning, and sleep. They pay back in clarity and results. You show people how to treat your time by how you treat your own. You do not rush your sentences. You do not overpromise. You do not fill silence with apologies. You show that calm is compatible with high standards. You guide rooms back to outcomes and away from theater. Your presence becomes a thermostat. Work script to cool a hot room. You say, the goal is a stable release. I won't cut testing. Options are scope trim or schedule shift. Which do you choose? Then you stop talking and let adults decide. Friendships and family continue to anchor you. You schedule small joys so life has color. You share money and time boundaries early so plans feel easy. You keep rituals that remind you why you work. A walk, a meal, a couch and a show you all love. You choose a career you can live in, not just survive. Friend script to plan a simple celebration. You type, we did it. Saturday, 4 o'clock, park picnic. I'll bring fruit and a playlist. Bring yourself and a story from your week. Joy becomes regular, not rare. Family script to protect evenings. You say, I'm closing the laptop at 6. Phones go away for dinner. After dishes, we walk. If something urgent appears, I'll check at 8 tomorrow. Your actions teach the rule more than any speech. You keep a small teacher alive in you. You share what works so others can carry it. You offer one script, one template, one nudge per week. You praise boundaries that protect team health. You show that steadiness is not selfish. It is service. You let your career become an example of sustainable excellence. A micro practice to close your learning loop. At the end of next week, post one short note to your team, what process change saved you the most time and how they can try it. Invite one other person to share their own. You build a culture of small, compounding improvements. Now close the circle. You are a woman who protects her attention, honors her energy, and spends her time and money with intention. You are clear, warm, firm. You choose focus over noise, rest over panic, evidence over theater. Your words are short. Your boundaries are consistent. Your results speak. Your relationships breathe. You carry yourself with respect because you live by your own values. I move at a sustainable pace and deliver work I'm proud of. I say no kindly and I keep my yes. I spend where I value and save for freedom. I protect mornings for deep work and evenings for life. You have everything you need to keep building a steadier, kinder, more effective way to work and live. The scripts are simple. The money choices are clear. The routines are human. When you slip, you repair. When pressure rises, you slow down and return to outcomes. When success arrives, you share credit and keep your standards. Thank you for letting this be your companion as you practice. You're listening to Queen Audiobooks, and your voice, your time, and your values are worthy of respect in every room you enter. Carry these lines with you. Use them. Adjust them. Share them. You have permission to build a career and a life that feel like yours. Yesterday, you integrated your tools into a light system you can keep. You chose focus over noise, kept money simple, and turned boundaries into rituals that protect work and life. Today, you complete the arc. You seal your practices into a personal playbook, prepare for inflection points, and write the vows you'll keep when pressure pushes back. You end with a clear, human rhythm you can trust in the months ahead. You begin by naming your vows for work, focus, and money in one breath each. Short, plain, present tense. You commit to them in writing so you do not renegotiate them in a swirl. You read them each morning until they feel like muscle memory. I start my day with one deep block and I finish what I open. I spend where I value and I save for choice. I answer with clarity, not speed theater. A micro practice to lock vows into daily life. Copy those 3 sentences onto a small card and place it on your keyboard. Each time you reach for an inbox out of habit, touch the card first. Ask, what did I vow? Then act. Your playbook needs a gate for new commitments. You stop treating every interesting idea as yours. You run each ask through the same small filter. mission fit, value created this month, energy cost in real hours, who will do less so I can do this. If you cannot name the trade-off in a sentence, you do not say yes yet. I want to support this and I need the trade-off named before I commit. What should move to make room? Money clarity steadies this filter. You know your enough number, your strong yes, and your walk away. You do not hustle for approval through overspending or overworking. You choose with numbers and values. When a shiny plan appears, you breathe, check the math, and decide on purpose. A money micro practice for offers and extras. Write one line you can reuse. My decision rests on impact, fit, and fair compensation of $Z for scope Y pasted into your notes. Before you agree, read the line and confirm each piece. If it is not true, negotiate or decline. Your calendar becomes a quiet mirror of integrity. You keep the first deep block sacred. You batch coordination later. You insert small human anchors that restore you: water, light, movement, 1 minute of breath before meetings. You remove default meetings that pretend to manage and replace them with decisions that do. Micro practice to enforce the mirror. For 1 week, set a soft alarm 15 minutes before your stop time. When it rings, finish the sentence you are typing, write tomorrow's first move, and close the laptop. If you must continue, reset once with a new stop and a fresh alarm. You stop drifting past endings. You refine your language for pressure moments so your sentences carry you when your nervous system wobbles. Your template is 3 parts: limit, link to the goal, next step. You practice these lines until they sit comfortably in your mouth. I won't cut testing. To protect the release, we can trim scope or shift the date. Which do you choose? I'm offline after 6 so I can be present and sharp tomorrow. I'll post the update at 9. I'm at capacity for this sprint. If this is higher impact, confirm what moves. You prepare for the moments that test character: ethical friction, public blame, unfair pressure. You replace reactive defenses with steady moves. You ask for facts. You ask for owners. You move heated threads to short conversations with an agenda. You summarize outcomes in writing. You reach for dignity, not dominance. Work script for a hot channel. You type: to keep this productive, let's align on the decision and owner. The options are A or B. Please confirm by 3. I'll post the summary and next steps once we decide. Your friendships deserve structure that keeps love easy. You stop apologizing for needing calm nights and honest budgets. You invite early and simply. You check in when you cannot attend. You offer alternatives you can keep. You trust that true friends prefer your whole self to your exhausted performance. I'm saying no to late nights this month and yes to a Saturday walk. 9 at the lake works for me. I'm keeping a light budget. Tea at my place would make me happy. I'll bake something sweet. Family thrives when context is visible. You share your focus windows, your stop times, and your presence rituals in plain language. You ask for help without drama. You offer help inside your limits. You keep promises small and real so trust grows without speeches. I'm focused 9 to 11. After that, I'm yours for 30 minutes. If something urgent comes up, say urgent and I'll step out when I pause. A micro practice to keep the home calm. Sunday evening, gather for 10 minutes. Open the shared calendar, pick 2 dinners and 1 fun thing and confirm 1 chore each. Stop at 10 minutes. Short is repeatable. Your long game requires strategic boredom, the repetition of small moves that compound. 1 deep block, 1 visible decision, 1 clean stop. 1 10-minute money check on Fridays. 1 skill block midweek. 1 note of thanks to someone who made work easier. You let these small acts stitch together a year that looks like craft and care instead of hustle and collapse. iBook rests like a deliverable because it funds quality. I keep learning in tiny, consistent steps. I celebrate the people who make calm possible. You plan exits with grace before you need them. You write your signals, values violation that persists, health harm that doesn't change, flat learning for months, chronic disrespect. You list your first 3 steps if 2 signals appear. You gather artifacts so you can leave with clean handoffs. You make moves from clarity, not panic. A micro practice for graceful exits. Draft a 1-paragraph transition note template now. Current state, owners, open risks, next checkpoints, availability window. Keep it ready and neutral. When the time comes, you will be steady because the words are waiting. You treat focus as the engine that pays for everything. You defend it with architecture, not just will. You keep 2 browser profiles, silence non-critical notifications, and remove social apps from your home screen. You measure success by outcomes shipped, not alerts cleared. You give your best hours to hard thinking and your lighter hours to coordination. You defend this split like revenue. I work with my tide chart, deep work first, coordination later. Money remains a tool for freedom, not a scoreboard. You build a modest buffer. You automate tiny transfers. You review numbers without shame. You spend on rest, learning, and connection because they multiply your capacity. You say no to purchases that only soothe a feeling for a minute and yes to choices that lower stress for months. A money micro practice to reduce friction fast. List 3 subscriptions or habits that don't match your values. Cancel one today, pause one for a month, and replace one with a low-cost joy. Write 1 line in your notes, I spend like the person I'm becoming. You keep your receipts. You post decisions in shared spaces. You show owners and dates. You log outcomes in 2 lines daily. Visibility turns politics down and trust up. The more visible the work, the less you need to defend your boundaries because the room sees the cost of distraction and the value of calm. I'm closing today with outcomes A and B shipped. Tomorrow's focus is C risks listed at the top of the dock. Mentorship becomes a habit, not an event. You share a script a week, a template a month, a tiny talk each quarter. You praise boundaries that protect quality. You model repair without shame. You step back so others can step in. You turn your skill into a safety net for the team rather than a pedestal for yourself. A micro practice to scale steadiness. Hold a 10-minute clinic after stand-up this week called 1-sentence boundaries. Each person offers 1 real scenario and the group shapes a single clean line for it. Paste the lines into a shared library. Repeat next week. You honor your body as your first instrument. You notice tension before words. You unclench your jaw, breathe out longer than in, plant your feet and soften your eyes. You let your voice drop half an inch when you speak. You do not chase authority, you embody steadiness. I'm choosing a calm pace and a clear sentence. When conflict comes, you ground in data and outcomes. You refuse personal attacks, even in your mind. You request examples. You restate the goal. You propose a next step. You ask for a review date. You keep tone even and sentences short. You leave rooms better than you found them. I want to align on the goal and the gap. Share 2 examples and the result you wanted. I'll respond with a plan by noon. Your career evolves at the speed of your systems. You audit twice a year, which rituals still serve, which can be simplified, which need retiring. You keep your system light enough to carry through travel, illness, celebration, and change. You accept that seasons shift. You keep the spine deep work, visible decisions, clean stops, and adjust the rest. A micro practice for the half-year reset. Book a 60-minute session with yourself. Ask 5 questions. What created the most value? What drained me most? What boundary slipped? What system saved me? What one change will improve the slope? Write 1 page. Pick 1 change. Start Monday. You tell the truth without theater. If a date is firm because of a promise, you say so. If a date is preference, you say that too. If a risk threatens quality, you do not bury it in optimism. You propose options and ask for choice. You keep your name clean because your words match reality. I'm naming this as a preference, not a commitment. If we need a commitment, I recommend a later date or reduced scope. Friends and family get the best of you because your structure protects you. You book simple joys you can keep. You share plans early. You hold your stop. You show up present. You let love be a ritual, not an afterthought. You build a life you can recognize while you build work you respect. I'm closing at 6, then I'm yours for dinner and a walk. Phones stay away while we eat. As you finish this journey, you write your own brief manifesto, not for show, but to read when pressure rises. I choose focus over noise. I spend time and money by my values. I speak with kindness and clarity. I keep my yes and honor my no. I work at a sustainable pace and I build what lasts. A final micro practice to seal the manifesto. Record yourself reading those 5 lines in a steady voice. Play it once each morning for 7 days. Let your own voice become the reminder you trust. You are ready. You have scripts that fit your mouth, systems that fit your life, and numbers that fit your reality. You are not waiting for permission to work sanely and live fully. You will slip sometimes. You will repair. You will keep going. Your steady boundaries will make you dependable. Your quiet money clarity will make you freer, and your human pace will make you stronger. Thank you for choosing yourself and for practicing. You're listening to Queen Audiobooks, and you carry forward a way of working and living that respects your time, your energy, and your worth.